Chapter 32:51. Since when did he become the big brother? The two figures drew closer and closer to each other. Right at that moment, Wangu Wuji finally made his move. The surroundings around him turned blood red, and silence filled the air. He didn't seem to move at all, but a claw that shined with a cold light swept towards the sky with an unstoppable force. The might of this claw could be said to be terrifying. It actually swept away Zui Yunfei's full-strength punch and even left 3 clear claw marks on his body. I don't like exchanging pointers because I have to conserve my strength. Exchanging pointers is the most boring thing in the world. At the same time, Wangu Wuji's voice resounded through the air. Zui Yunfei stood firmly in the air, and his robes were torn apart. The 3 clear claw marks on his body were exposed to everyone's eyes. One move. It was indeed one move. Moreover, everyone could sense that Wangu Wuji was holding back. After all, this was a spar. If Wangu Wuji had used his full strength, Zui Yunfei would have been dead by now. Ultimate desolate body, Zui Yunfei exclaimed in shock. He nodded his head solemnly and said, "I've lost. I admit defeat." The ultimate desolate body was an extremely rare existence. At the very least, it didn't exist in the mortal world. It only appeared in legends. No wonder you couldn't even take a single move from me. Since you only saw my talent, you are truly trash. Who would have expected that Wangu Wuji would laugh disdainfully after Zui Yunfei said those words? Zui Yunfei's eyes widened, and he wanted to retort. However, he didn't know what to say. Who asked him to lose? He gritted his teeth in anger and walked back to the ancient lake. The people from the Grand Change Nebulous sect didn't mock Zui Yunfei. After all, it was normal for Zui Yunfei to lose against Wangu Wuji. Wangu Wuji said that he wouldn't fight a single battle. That means that he's going to fight the #1 beauty of Yuhing City. Someone suddenly exclaimed. Many people turned to look at the #1 beauty of Yuhing City. However, the beauty merely smiled. She didn't show any signs of wanting to fight. Instead, she looked at the crowd and said, "Compared to me, it would be more interesting to have someone fight. I really don't have the qualifications to fight him." The moment these words were spoken, the entire ancient lake was in an uproar. Yuheng's #1 beauty was one of the 4 strongest half-saints in the Yuan villa. She actually said that there was someone more powerful than her. This also caused people to look around and search for him. "This beauty, you must be joking." But in the end, no one could find someone more powerful than the #1 beauty in Yuhing City. So someone said with a smile. He obviously thought that this beauty didn't want to fight. So she was looking for some excuse. "Big Brother Lin, how long are you going to hide?" However, the beauty did not care about what everyone was saying. Instead, she smiled at Gu Hu and spoke softly. "Brother Lin?" Everyone was even more confused. Who is Big Brother Lin? That beauty called him so intimately. Could it be that she has an affair with Big Brother Lin? What an infuriating Brother Lin. On the side of the Great Change Nebulous sect, many people began to speak one after another. Interesting. This is getting more and more interesting. Who is this Big Brother Lin? Zilong, Yiling Tian, and the others were also curious. They weren't as envious of Big Brother Lin as they knew that this beauty wasn't someone they could lay their hands on. If she calls him Big Brother Lin, he must be extraordinary. Zui Yunfei also spoke up. He was filled with anticipation. "That's right. I also think that this woman isn't a match for me. There is only one person here who is a match for me. Therefore, I hope that he will spar with me." At that moment, Wangu Wuji spoke up. He didn't care about the Big Brother Lin that the beauty was talking about. In his opinion, this so-called Big Brother Lin was just an ant. On the contrary, he was looking forward to seeing someone fight. After all, that person had snatched his broken-boned demonic elephant and saved his life. "Come out, Brother Lin," Wangu Wuji said coldly. Brother Lin? Previously, there was Big Brother Lin. Now, there is another Brother Lin. Moreover, Brother Lin is highly regarded by Wangu Wuji. Before everyone could recover from their shock, another commotion broke out. Brother Lin? If Wangu Wuji is willing to take the initiative to speak up, this person is definitely not simple. Even Zui Yunfei's heart skipped a beat as he stared at Wangu Wuji. When he realized that Wangu Wuji wasn't joking, he revealed a solemn expression. Wangu Wuji's expression was completely different from before. Therefore, Zui Yunfei knew that Wangu Wuji was serious. Big Brother Lin, do you think that the two of them are the same person? Zilong, who was standing at the side, was shocked as well. I don't think that's possible. After all, there aren't many half-step true saints in the 9 prefectures who are comparable to Wangu Wuji. How can such people appear in the Yuan manor at the same time? Yiling Tian shook his head. Both of their gazes began to search around. Beside the ancient lake, Sakura and Meng Lu smiled faintly as they looked at Lin Ling. They naturally knew who Lin Ling was. What a slut. Lin Ling stared coldly at the number 1 beauty in Yuheng City. He knew that the other party had intentionally invited him to appear. Since both of them had invited him, there was no way he could avoid it. Brother Lin, come out. Wangu Wuji opened his mouth once more. As you wish. Lin Ling finally nodded his head. Although his voice was calm, it was like a bolt from the blue when it landed on the ancient lake. Lin Ling? Oh my God. He's not talking to you. Don't get it wrong. If you offend these experts, you'll be in big trouble. Zilong and the others couldn't help but speak up. They felt as though they had been cursed. Lin Ling, what does it have to do with you? Zui Yunfei shouted angrily. Lin Ling is Big Brother Lin? Brother Lin? Isn't Lin Ling someone that even I don't dare to face? It's not that easy to be a big brother. It seems like someone doesn't want me to fight. In that case, I'm too lazy to fight. All right. When Lin Ling heard that, he looked at Zui Yunfei mockingly and walked back. Zui Yunfei heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that. It seemed like he had mistaken Lin Ling for someone else. Big Brother Lin, since you're already here, why are you going back? Brother Lin, since you're already here, why are you going back? Brother Lin. Just as he felt as though a boulder had been lifted off his chest, 2 voices rang out from afar. Zui Yunfei's eyes widened in shock. Big Brother Lin? Brother Lin? Both of them are Lin Ling. Zui Yunfei, if you continue to spout nonsense, I'll kill you on the spot. Wangu Wuji's cold voice rang out. He didn't give Zui Yunfei any face. Zui Yunfei's face turned pale when he heard that. The Great Simplicity Nebula Gate exploded. Chapter 3252. It was a draw. Under countless gazes, Lin Ling walked out. His calm demeanor made it seem as though he had appeared out of nowhere. Who is that person? Countless question marks appeared in everyone's minds. As for the number 1 beauty of Yuheng City, she revealed a smile that could topple countries. Big Brother Lin, you can do it. Don't worry, I won't lose. Lin Ling smiled as he looked at the beauty. However, there was a trace of coldness in the depths of his eyes. Even until now, he still had no idea what the woman was up to. However, he knew that things would cross when he got there. As long as he continued walking, he would find out. Lin Ling turned to look at Wangu Wuji. Wangu Wuji smiled at Lin Ling for the first time. How about we decide this in a single move? Wangu Wuji spoke first. This was exactly what Lin Ling was thinking. He did not want to reveal all his trump cards in front of so many people. I feel that you will lose if we decide this in a single move. I really like your forceful tone. The two of them looked at each other with smiles on their faces. However, their voices were extremely cold. From afar, it looked as though 2 gods were staring at each other. It was also as though 2 wolf kings were facing off in the wilderness. The stifling atmosphere made it hard for many people to breathe. They knew that this was the true battle between sages. Zui Yunfei, Zilong, and Yi Lingtian's expressions were extremely ugly. Lin Ling, who was ranked 4th, actually had such a domineering aura. How could they, who were ranked in the top 3, endure this? A storm seemed to be about to arrive at any moment. Their clothes flapped loudly in the wind. Finally, Wangu Wuji made his move. He used an ordinary speed to shoot towards Lin Ling. However, it was like the calm before the storm. The moment he exploded, there would be no stopping him. Lin Ling's expression turned extremely solemn. He could feel a powerful energy enveloping his entire body. Wanga Wuji was at the peak of the half-true saint realm. He possessed the ultimate desolate body, and his cultivation realm had reached an unimaginable realm. It could be said that this half-true saint realm youth had no blind spots. This was also the first time Lin Ling had encountered a flawless expert after fighting so many sage realm experts. He's probably hiding his trump card. Obviously, he doesn't want to expose it in front of everyone. I'm the same. Then, let's fight with our full strength. He has the ultimate desolate physique, while I have 3 7th grade desolate physiques. He is at the peak of the sage-to-be realm, while I have the 4 dantians. He has the power of rank, while I have the rank of demonic sword. His physical strength has probably reached the power of 800 worlds, which was also his strongest advantage in defeating Zui Yunfei. However, I have the power of 1,000 worlds. Lin Ling quickly analyzed the situation. He extended his right fist out from his shoulder and pounced forward. His fist also seemed calm, but if one looked carefully, they would discover that the space around his fist was completely distorted. The corners of Wanga Wuji's lips curled upwards when he saw this. Battle intent surged through his body. Last time, when he saw the bone-shattering demonic elephant, he knew that this young man was extremely extraordinary. He had always wanted to spar with him, and today he finally met him. His blood began to boil. There was no point in bullying an ordinary sage-to-be realm expert. If he wanted to fight, he would fight someone at the peak of the sage-to-be realm. Good timing. Wanga Wuji roared, causing everyone's eardrums to hurt. 2 figures approached each other from afar and collided with each other like 2 meteorites. At this moment, everyone's eyes were fixed on the 2 figures. At this moment, the eyes of the number 1 beauty in Alioth City flashed with a strange light. Boom! An unprecedented explosion rang through the air. Under countless gazes, the 2 figures collided in the sky above the ancient lake. One of them threw out a punch, while the other threw out a claw. The space around the 2 of them started to churn like waves. It was extremely terrifying. The water of the ancient lake was completely evaporated. He's so strong. Zui Yunfei and the others sucked in a breath of cold air. Lin Ling wasn't defeated by Wanga Wuji's attack. Boom, 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 boom. Formless shockwaves rippled through the air as they collided. If they were in the myriad worlds, the shockwaves alone would be enough to destroy the entire world. In the end, a blinding light appeared, and the 2 figures were sent flying. They smashed into 2 sides of the Yuan Manor, causing the entire manor to explode. The shockwaves didn't stop there, and they destroyed countless mountains in the distance. Boulders rained down from the sky. How terrifying! Everyone's hearts trembled in fear. It turned out that the 2 of them were the strongest sage-to-be realm experts in the Yuan Manor. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. After a short while, a figure flew over from afar. He smiled faintly as he said, "It seems like you won't be able to return. You've lost." That person was Wanga Wuji. However, his robes were tattered, and blood was dripping from the corner of his mouth. It was obvious that he had suffered some injuries. Is that so? As soon as the words left his mouth, another figure flew over with the speed of 100 worlds. His robes were also tattered, and blood was dripping from the corner of his mouth. However, there was a proud smile on his face. It was Lin Ling who had returned. Wanga Wuji's eyes widened when he saw Lin Ling's appearance. He knew that Lin Ling had definitely hidden some trump cards up his sleeves. The outcome of the battle between the 2 of them was, in fact, determined by whose final trump card was stronger. Otherwise, both of them wouldn't be able to defeat each other if they used their full strength. It seems like we won't be able to determine the victor without at least 100 years. Wanga Wuji couldn't help but laugh as he looked at Lin Ling. His gaze was filled with admiration. In my opinion, we won't be able to determine the victor without at least 300 years. It was the same for Lin Ling as well. Ha ha ha! When Wanga Wuji heard Lin Ling's words, he couldn't help but roar with laughter. As a member of the Wangu clan, he had looked down on the overlords of the 9 prefectures ever since he was young. No one had ever managed to catch his attention. However, there was someone who had managed to do so today. That person was someone who didn't have any reputation. However, Wang Guwuji believed that someone like that wouldn't be ordinary in the 9 prefectures. When the crowd heard Wang Guwuji admit that Lin Ling was a genius, an uproar broke out. Did that mean that the young man's strength wasn't any weaker than Wang Guwuji's? He doesn't even seem to be at the peak of the half-true saint realm. After a moment of shock, someone let out a heavy sigh. Even though he was only at the 8th stage of the half-true saint realm, he was already able to fight Wang Guwuji to a draw. What would happen if he was at the peak of the half-true saint realm? The outcome would be unimaginable. It was no wonder Wang Guwuji had placed so much importance on him. It turned out that he had the qualifications. The difference between Zui Yunfei and the young man was like the difference between the clouds and mud. As for the people from the Great Change Nebulous sect, they were dumbfounded. They suddenly remembered their courage. In the past, they had thought that Lin Ling was a coward who didn't have any courage when Lin Ling gave up on the battle. Now, they knew that it wasn't because he didn't have any courage. Many people subconsciously turned to look at Zui Yunfei. Zui Yunfei's face was extremely ugly, and he wished that he could dig a hole and hide in it, as expected of Brother Lin. Chapter 3253. The operation began. Lin Ling naturally rejected this action. However, just as he was about to move, the woman's voice sounded in his heart. Son of the devil, Lin Ling, if I announce your name, I wonder what kind of turmoil will occur in the Yin state. This sentence undoubtedly stopped Lin Ling from acting rashly. The beautiful woman seemed to be wiping the sweat off her husband who had just returned from battle. Her caring actions and gentle eyes undoubtedly broke the hearts of the people around her. Plop! Even more people knelt on the ground powerlessly. They could only glare at Lin Ling with hatred. However, when they thought of Lin Ling's terrifying strength, they felt helpless. Thank you. Lin Ling suddenly smiled evilly. Under everyone's gaze, he hugged the beautiful woman in his arms. Although he didn't know what the other party was scheming, Lin Ling wasn't someone to be trifled with if the other party dared to force him. Being forcefully hugged by Lin Ling, the beautiful woman's delicate body subconsciously tensed up. Her charming face flushed red, but she had to continue acting. She could only reveal a bashful look. Longyang, do you still remember when you poisoned me? I was the first man to taste you. TSK, the aftertaste is endless. Lin Ling whispered into the beautiful woman's ear. That's right, this beautiful woman was Longyang, who had repeatedly tried to kill Lin Ling. When Lin Ling spoke, Longyang's eyes immediately flashed with murderous intent. She recalled the scene from that day. However, that scene made her entire body feel weak. At that time, Lin Ling was indeed very fierce. However, who could she blame? Because she was the one who poisoned Lin Ling. The two of them seemed to be secretly opposing each other, but in the eyes of the crowd, this was a public display of affection. However, when the crowd was extremely jealous, an ancient voice suddenly came from the sky. All right, the operation begins. Everyone, head south. Those who have reported their names, head north. Then, names sounded in the sky. Those whose names were reported all headed north. Obviously, those whose names were reported were the strongest existences in the half-saint stage. Among them were Lin Ling, Di Shi Tian, and the others. As for Longyang, she also headed north. Moreover, she seemed to be in a hurry, so everyone immediately set off. Lin Ling and the others were still somewhat confused about this big operation that alarmed the 9 states. However, they could only move forward according to the order. Longyang had been following not far from Lin. Although she had a seemingly gentle smile, in reality, she concealed an unknown murderous intent. Big brother, you guys go first. Little you, follow big brother. I'll be right there. Sensing the faint murderous intent behind him, Lin Ling pondered for a moment before he spoke indifferently. Okay, big brother, be careful. Di Shi Tian and the others also knew that Lin Ling seemed to have something important to do. Lin Ling stopped and flew to the other side. A moment later, someone in the crowd also did the same and flew in the direction Lin Ling left. She was Longyang. Obviously, she also knew that Lin Ling seemed to have something to say to her. In a dense bamboo forest, Lin Ling stood there quietly with his hands behind his back. His entire person was like a stone statue. A moment later, as if talking to himself, he said, "What attracted you to this big operation? What made you disguise yourself and join another sect?" In the past, Longyang was also like today. She hid in a sect in the spirit state, making it difficult for people to guess her actions. After the voice floated out, a beautiful figure walked over from the bamboo forest. She smiled and said, "If I announce the name of the son of devil, I wonder what will happen to the end state." The person who came was Longyang. "Go ahead and try." Lin Ling finally turned around and looked calmly at Longyang. However, although he was calm, there was a storm-like madness in his eyes. This made Longyang's heart tremble subconsciously. She really valued Lin Ling. This was a person that the Godslayer Alliance relied on. Without this young man, the Godslayer Alliance would not have been able to destroy the gods. If this person went crazy, the price would definitely be unimaginable. "Okay, I won't announce your identity this time. However, I will need your help in this big operation." Longyang pondered for a moment and said coldly. Hearing this, Lin Ling smiled and did not say anything. He just looked calmly at Longyang. His gaze undoubtedly made Longyang's heart continue to pound. She had a feeling that at this moment, she was like a deer making a deal with a dragon. "Although you've hidden your strength, my intuition tells me that it's impossible for me to kill you. However, you're not a fool. If I attack, I can guarantee that it won't take long for my identity to be exposed. Therefore, I won't kill you for now." After Lin Ling smiled, he finally said slowly, "However, you've hidden your identity in the Yuhing sect. This means that you're also avoiding someone. If I announce your identity, I'm afraid that even if you don't die, you'll still lose a layer of skin." "You bastard." Lin Ling's words were like peeling off Longyang's outer clothes, causing her to fly into a rage out of humiliation. It was obvious that she was indeed avoiding someone. Moreover, this person's background was definitely not small. Therefore, she used the son of the demon to threaten Lin Ling. In reality, Lin Ling was also threatening her. Therefore, we can't say who's helping who. We can only say that we each have our own needs. Therefore, I hope that you can tell me about this big operation. Seeing Longyang's expression, Lin Ling also revealed a confident smile. "You'll know. For now, I don't want to say any more." Longyang gritted her teeth and was determined not to speak. "Up to you. However, when I need to know, I hope that you better tell me." Lin Ling finally looked at her and strode away. Only Longyang was left in the bamboo forest. She stood there rigidly until Lin Ling completely disappeared. Only then did she relax, as if she had fought hundreds of rounds. Talking to Lin Ling was really like a transaction between gods. At the same time, on the other side, a large number of experts had gathered in the sky. These people were all martial ancestors. At this moment, they were looking at the words that kept appearing in the sky. Those were a large number of names. When one of the old men saw a few names, he suddenly frowned. Shouldn't the people who are heading north from Yuan Villa be the top 3 half-step saints in Grand Simplicity Nebula sect? Why are Lin Ling and the others here? The old man was clearly very puzzled. Hee, Grand Simplicity martial ancestor. It seems like you're not familiar with the disciples of your sect. Those people have done something shocking before. Someone was still looking at the name list, but he smiled faintly. What did they do? The old man was even more puzzled. That guy called Lin Ling fought to a draw with Wangu Wuji of the Wangu clan. Therefore, we decided to let him head north. As for the people beside Lin Ling, we reckon that they aren't weak and are qualified to head north. That person turned to look at the old man and said. The old man's body trembled. "You're lying. How can he fight to a draw with Wangu Wuji?" Chapter 3254. Jiang Wuxia. Lie to you? Maybe you're right. I might be lying to you, but there are so many people in a Yuan villa. Could they be lying to you too? The person laughed. He did not understand why Tai old ancestor was reacting so strongly. As soon as he finished speaking, the Tai patriarch shuddered. The first thing he thought of was Xianxia. He had once thought highly of Xianxia, but because of a failed mission, he had abandoned himself and left Tai Starry's sect. Tai Old Ancestor looked down on this disciple. However, he had not expected his disciple to be so powerful. Master, Zui Yunfei is no match for Wanga Wuji, but Lin Ling is on par with him. Could he be the one who defeated the realm-devouring beast during the test? A man beside Tai Old Ancestor frowned. Although his tone was calm, there was a hint of jealousy in his eyes. It's hard to be sure. The talent he has shown so far seems to be a fire talent. Tai Old Ancestor shook his head. Who could it be? The man seemed to be deep in thought. Calm down. Time will prove everything. Maybe it's not him or Zui Yunfei. Maybe it's someone else. Tai Old Ancestor looked into the distance. He did not seem to care, but in fact, he wanted to know who the mysterious young man was. At this moment, laughter came from not far away. This must be the #1 sage under Tai Old Ancestor, Wuxia. As soon as this voice came out, gazes from all around looked over one after another, and their eyes carried a trace of surprise. Wuxia was an extremely famous person in Yin State. It was not because of his cultivation, but because he had the ultimate desolate body. In fact, there were not many people who had the ultimate desolate body in Tai Nebulous sect. There were less than 3 people who had the ultimate desolate body. Wuxia was one of them. Most importantly, he was the youngest. For this reason, Tai Old Ancestor thought highly of him. He was the disciple he was most proud of. He was also the first person in Tai Nebulous sect to have the ultimate desolate body at the Sage Realm. Tai Old Ancestor felt proud when he saw all the experts in Yin State looking at him in surprise. You are. As for the man, he looked indifferently at the person who had spoken. I'm sure Fai Long from the Heavenly Court. I wanted to visit Brother Jiang when I went to Tai Nebulous sect. However, I had something important to do, so I delayed it. I hope Brother Jiang won't take it to heart. The person who had spoken was very young, but he was at the Sage Realm. Old Ancestor Tai, recalled the day when the half-saint stage young men were taking the test. Indeed, people from the Heavenly Court had come looking for the son of the devil. They were extremely arrogant. In the end, Old Ancestor Tai, he had to show up, and those people from the Heavenly Court left with their tails between their legs. Heavenly Court? As far as I know, wasn't the Heavenly Court destroyed by the God-slaying alliance? Wuxia chuckled when he heard that. Brother Jiang, you don't know. The Heavenly Court is a new Heavenly Court, and the one behind it is Martial God Wentian. Because it was just established, it needs the talents of the 9 prefectures. I wonder if Brother Jiang is interested? Wuxia pondered for a moment and coldly refused. Tai Old Ancestor laughed secretly. He was very satisfied with Wuxia's attitude. Seeing this, Sure Fai Long didn't get angry. He spread his hands and didn't say anything else. However, with his knowledge and experience, he could still sense that Wuxia had been moved. That was because that rejection had taken a full breath of thought, and not an immediate rejection. Why would Wuxia be like this? Sure Fai Long looked at Tai Old Ancestor and understood. Wuxia could not say anything in front of Tai Old Ancestor. Tai Old Ancestor has a good relationship with one of the 9 states' martial gods, but he is not as good as Martial God Wentian. No wonder Wuxia was moved. Sure Fai Long guessed inwardly. The people around were talking in 2s and 3s. Everyone who had appeared was a big shot in Yin State. There were Baiyun Villa, Firefox Valley, Tianluo Sect, Jintao Temple, and so on. Although these big shot sects couldn't be compared to the Flying Dragon Organization, Fu Hang Manor, and other major forces in the 9 prefectures, they were only below them. Compared to the 9 prefectures, they were far superior to many other forces. Even the 9 prefectures' god emperors couldn't compare to these big shots. They're here. Suddenly, someone spoke, causing everyone's gazes to look into the distance. They saw a large number of experts coming from all directions. They seemed to have come from all over the Yin State. The weakest experts were at the peak of the Sage-to-Be realm. Many of them were sages. This was a gathering of sages. If it were in Yu State or Spirit State, it would be impossible to see this. Then those people bowed to the big shots of the Yin province. The old ancestor of the Tai Yi sect glanced around and found a few people from the Great Simplicity Nebulous sect. They must have come from the Yuan Villa. Zui Yunfei and the others lowered their heads. They looked like frosted eggplants. Looking at Lin Ling and the others, they were talking and laughing. Even though the sages were here, they did not have any stage fright. This made Tai old ancestor take a good look at the three young men for the first time. Compared to Xianxia Yun, these three disciples were much bolder. Their composure was also better than ordinary people. It seems that I have underestimated them. Forget it, forget it. I will slowly compensate for my previous neglect in the future. Xing Shiyun escaped from the Great Change Nebulous sect. Now he has done a great thing for the Great Change Nebulous sect. Tai old ancestor thought to himself. Although Tai Nebulous sect was a big shot in the 9 states, it was also a sect in a precarious situation in Yin state. It was not easy for it to stand still for thousands of years. Therefore, if Tai Nebulous sect had descendants, their sect in the deity era could last longer. Everyone is here. At this moment, an ancient voice rang out, and it caused the entire place to fall silent. Lin Ling, Sakura, and the others looked around. They knew that the experts of Yin state had gathered. A big operation was about to begin. However, they found that the big forces of 9 states, such as Fu Heng Manor and Flying Dragon Organization, were not here. They guessed that the more powerful giants must have taken action on the other side. However, their guess was not wrong. This operation is one of the biggest in 9 states for many years. Chapter 3255. Jealousy. A year ago, the same thing happened again. Martial ancestor Kundi and martial ancestor Wu Liang died by the Wangwo Lake. They were unharmed, and their eyes were taken away. This incident finally alarmed the Yin state. After some speculation, it was confirmed that the Great Devil sect was behind it. Therefore, in order to eliminate the 10 evils of the 9 states, some martial ancestors called upon the experts of the Yin state and the 9 states to join forces and launch a fierce attack on the Great Devil sect. Even if we cannot eradicate them, we must drive them away from the 9 prefectures. Right now, the Great Devil sect is entrenched in the Heavenly King Mountain area, and there are even more powerful big shots from the 9 prefectures attacking. However, the Great Devil sect has the most people among the 9 prefectures' 10 evils. Therefore, we have decided to let you guys attack the Great Devil sect from another direction. The experts in that direction are not very powerful, so you guys should be able to deal with them. The Great Devil sect has 5 Great Devil Elders, and the place you're going to is the territory of one of the Great Devil Elders. However, although you have a lot of people, you still have to be careful. After the operation is over, our alliance will reward you according to your merits, and the sect you belong to will also be honored. I hope you can work harder. When the voice ended, everyone's emotions rose. Even the sect masters were secretly clenching their fists. No one wanted to be inferior to others. At this time, they naturally wanted to win glory for their sect. After that, all the half-saints and saints returned to their respective sects. It was the same for Lin Ling and the other 2. The Tai Yi Patriarch and the others stared deeply at Lin Ling and the other 2. Finally, a smile appeared on their faces. Obviously, Lin Ling and the other 2 had greatly improved the reputation of the Great Change Nebulous sect in the Yuan Villa. This made them extremely proud. You're Lin Ling, right? Not bad at all. However, before the Tai Patriarch could say anything, Zhang Wuxia spoke in the tone of a senior. He did not know what to say, but he stared at Xiao Yu and said, "This mission is extremely dangerous. It's better for this little girl not to come along. She'll be safer in the sect. No need. She likes to follow me, and I don't intend to let her leave." Upon hearing this, Lin Ling also spoke calmly. His tone was neither haughty nor humble, which undoubtedly made Zhang Wuxia's eyes narrow. He thought that Lin Ling would more or less respect him, but who knew that Lin Ling's attitude towards him could be said to be completely expressionless. But in terms of seniority, he, Zhang Wuxia, was Lin Ling and the other's martial uncle. However, Jiang Wujia could sense the presence of the Tai patriarch and the others, so he suppressed his anger. You guys are Xianxia's disciples, right? I've heard that you guys fought Wanga Wuji to a draw in the Yuan manner. Seeing Jiang Wujia's silence, the patriarch of Tai finally spoke. This was the first time he had mentioned Xing Xiyun's name. Generally speaking, Lin Ling and the other two would definitely be very excited if he personally asked. At least, that was what Zui Yunfei and the others thought. However, Lin Ling Trio's reaction was still very calm. Lin Ling smiled and said, "It's not a big deal. It's just a tie. That's all." Zui Yunfei and the others narrowed their eyes when they heard this. The elders behind the patriarch of Tai frowned. What of that? It sounded so simple. Moreover, the three of them were not excited at all when facing the patriarch of Tai. This made the elders extremely unhappy. Hee, young people, you are ambitious. However, the patriarch of Tai, he did not flare up. Instead, he praised them. At least from this point of view, Lin Ling's trio was much better than Xing Xiyun's group. Get ready to set off. If you guys complete the mission, Tai Nebula Sect will reward you handsomely. The patriarch of Tai reminded them. Lin Ling, Zui Yunfei, and the others nodded. When they looked into the distance, they saw that the crowd was already moving forward. However, at that moment, a sweet voice suddenly rang out. Lin Ling, I'll go with you. Long Yang strode towards the Great Change Nebulous Sect. Behind her, dozens of beauties were also following her. What? This scene caused the crowd to tremble. In particular, some of the younger generation frowned. This was because they had already received news that the most beautiful woman in Yuheng was coming. Therefore, they had gathered here to catch a glimpse of her beauty. In the end, the beautiful woman did not disappoint them. Moreover, the dozens of beauties that she brought along with her moved many people. However, the beautiful woman was now planning to go with a sage-to-be junior and take all the beauties with her. As a man, he could not tolerate such a thing. Most importantly, the young man was only a sage-to-be. Perhaps he had some strength, but there were many sage-to-be experts present. A sage-to-be could only stand aside. The patriarch of Tai, he was also shocked. Yuheng sect, a sect in Miao Prefecture, had a stronger origin than Tai Nebula sect. This was one of the reasons why the beauties could become the focus of attention. Now, even the patriarch of Tai Nebula sect could not catch the eye of Yuheng sect. On the contrary, a disciple of the sect had succeeded. Junior brother Lin, what happened? Even Jiang Wujia started to frown. He was a powerful genius in the sage-to-be realm. However, he had not been invited by the beauties. On the contrary, his junior brother had succeeded. This made him very uncomfortable. However, Lin Ling did not even look at him. Instead, he looked coldly at Long Yang and said, "Get lost." That one word shocked the void. Get lost. This was the dream of others, and this young man had asked those beauties to get lost. Bastard. Some of the young men's eyes were red. As long as the beautiful woman gave the order, they would immediately attack Lin Ling and the other two. However, Long Yang apparently did not care about Lin Ling's angry shout. Instead, she said aggrievedly, "Please don't drive me away. We have reached an agreement to go to Heavenly King Mountain together." Get lost. That lovely and moving appearance caused many people's eyes to burn with jealousy. Some impulsive people even charged into the ground and fiercely smashed their fists on the ground, causing rumbling sounds to ring out. Unfortunately, Lin Ling and Long Yang were enemies. Naturally, he knew that Long Yang's actions were actually harmful to him, forcing him to become the enemy of all men. However, at this moment, no matter how Lin Ling explained, it was useless. Moreover, Lin Ling did not bother to explain anything. Whatever tricks Long Yang wanted to play, he would just play along with her. Well, since you have made up your mind, let's go together. Go! In front of countless people, Lin Ling stepped forward and forcibly held Long Yang in his arms. His palm pinched the flesh of Long Yang's waist fiercely. It had to be said that Long Yang's waist was very slender and felt very good. This action also caused a flame of anger to burn in the depths of Dragon Lady's eyes. However, since she dared to harm Lin Ling, she was naturally mentally prepared. This was because she had encountered such a thing before. Chapter 32:56. Splicing Demons. Let's go, beauty. With you by my side, I don't think this big operation will be boring. Yes. Lin Ling ignored the gazes of the crowd and walked forward with Long Yang in his arms. Ha ha ha. Yes. Behind him, Sakura and the others laughed loudly. Their laughter seemed to resound throughout the world. Obviously, they knew who the beauty was and knew that she was deliberately trying to harm Lin Ling. And this kind of laughter naturally made everyone even angrier. Who is this guy? Yes, a young man in white frowned. He came from the White Cloud Villa and was the strongest genius in the Sage Stage. His name was Hua Ge. He's from the Grand Change Nebulous Sect. Damn, he's just a half-saint. Look at how arrogant he is. Not only did he take away the most beautiful woman, but he also took away all the other beauties. Yes, another person also replied. He came from the Firefox Valley and was called Firefox Ichiro. In fact, it was not only them. The others also spoke one after another. Even Sure Filong from the Heavenly Court snorted. He was a genius from the Heavenly Court, but he was not favored by a beauty. This was too unfair. However, anger was anger. In the end, they could only watch the group of beauties in front of them leave with a young man in a blue robe. It had to be said that the scene was extremely beautiful. Lin Ling and Long Yang walked together. Lin Ling still had a smile on his face, but his voice was extremely cold. Long Yang, you're really bold. You provoke me again and again. Do you really think that I don't dare to kill you here? Yes. Lin Ling, there's a reason for this. It's because one of my enemies is watching me. So, I have to find some people to bewitch him. Yes. To Lin Ling's surprise, Long Yang spoke seriously. Do you think I'm a fool? Do you think I can bewitch that person? Yes. It won't be of much help, but it will at least be of some use. I guess that person must have some doubts at this moment. After all, it's impossible for someone of my status to know a junior of the semi-sage realm. Truth and falsehood, falsehood and falsehood. By the time he comes to his senses, I might have already left. Fine, maybe you're right, but is this the first day you've met me? Lin Ling? Don't you know who I, Lin Ling, am? I know, and I know that you will definitely kill me. But in the Yin province, you are the only one I can trust now. However, since I borrowed you to avoid the enemy, I will definitely not treat you unfairly. Your mission this time is to eliminate a demon elder on the side of Mount Tianwang, and I know his whereabouts. I can help you find him faster than others. At that time, if you complete the mission, your reputation in the Grand Change Nebula sect will also be greatly improved, and so will your sect. Long Yang, don't tell me you don't know that if I, Lin Ling, were to surface, I would attract the attention of many people. You can rest assured that there are countless people named Lin Ling in this world. The Heavenly Court may not think that you are the son of demon, unless someone in the Heavenly Court knows you and sees you in person. However, the former Heavenly Court has been destroyed by you, and most of the people in the new Heavenly Court don't know you. If I'm not wrong, Winti and Martial God should know you, but he won't come in person for a nobody. The two of them were talking secretly. After hearing Long Yang's words, Lin Ling's eyes continued to flicker. He didn't believe Long Yang. Involuntarily, he looked at Sakura and the others, asking for their opinions. At this time, Long Yang spoke again. Lin Ling, you're the person I want to kill the most in my life, but not now. So, in the short term, you don't have to worry about me. Moreover, I have other enemies now, and I can't spare any time to deal with you. Do you think I'll believe you? Lin Ling looked coldly at Long Yang and said, whether you believe or not, that's your own business. But I'm sure that if you kill me now, the next moment, the name of the son of demon will be announced. You should know my methods. All right, you and I both have misgivings. Let's postpone our life and death feud. Lin Ling finally made a decision. The two of them seemed to be talking coldly, but in fact, both of them revealed a friendly smile. Those who didn't know the situation would really think that they were a couple, especially when they saw the group of beauties behind Long Yang. Their eyes burned with flames. However, Lin Ling didn't seem to know the jealousy of the crowd as he laughed loudly and started drinking with Sakura and the others. Not long later, an ancient mountain appeared in front of them. In the sky above the mountain, demonic chi was rolling like an invisible mouth, wanting to swallow everyone who came here. However, the people present weren't weak. Adding on the fact that there were so many people, their reactions were calm. Then, the people began to split up and form small teams. They began to search the area in a carpet-style manner. 9 regions, 10 vicious, great devil sect. This was the sect with the most people among the 9 regions, 10 vicious, great devil sect. Its destructive power was extremely powerful. It was said that the master of the great devil sect was a devil god who had fought with the gods in the past. In the current 9 regions, there were only 4 gods left. From this, it could be seen how terrifying the great devil sect was. Although the crowd was divided into small teams, the number of people in these teams was actually not small. There were even many teams that were formed by combining several small teams. Lin Ling and Sakura formed a small team and followed the crowd. At the same time, a map appeared in Lin Ling's hand. It was given to him by Long Yang and recorded the location of one of the great devil sect's devil elders. Although he didn't know where Long Yang got this map, but Long Yang had always been mysterious, so Lin Ling wasn't surprised. Kill. After entering the Heavenly King Mountain, they naturally met the devil dwellers of the great devil sect. These devil dwellers were very strange. Some looked like humans, some looked like demons, but their fighting power was extremely strong. Lin Ling also saw that these devil dwellers seemed to be pieced together people. For example, there was a devil dweller who had the body of a crocodile, but the upper body of a human. He seemed to be pieced together. The crocodile was the divine beast green wild emperor crocodile, and the human was a saint realm expert. However, this expert seemed to be dead and was only acting under orders. This great devil sect is really powerful. Looking at those ferocious devil dwellers, Lin Ling was secretly surprised. In the past, Li Xiaoyao had never seen this kind of method. In his era, the great devil sect had not completely risen. That's terrifying. Sakura, on the other hand, looked at the other side, only to see the earth collapsing. A monster towering into the clouds was galloping over at this moment. This monster had centipede feet densely packed, and its body was like a dragon. And in front of the dragon's head, there was a human head. Obviously, this unknown monster was pieced together by countless divine beasts and humans. This method was somewhat similar to the bloodline of the Golden Emperor, and this kind of devil dwellers was also extremely difficult to deal with. After a few clashes, they killed a lot of people. But fortunately, Lin Ling's side had more people, and in the end, these devil dwellers were eliminated. Among them, in order to test the strength of the devil dwellers, Lin Ling also took action. He didn't use any methods and relied on his physical strength to clash with the 4 Dantians. Chapter 32:57. Framed. Night gradually fell. The demonized land was silent. Occasionally, the painful groans of fierce beasts could be heard from afar, letting people know that there were demons killing wild beasts in the distance. Under such circumstances, those with weak wills would definitely be frightened by the doomsday-like atmosphere and flee. The large group set up camp at the foot of a mountain to relieve the fatigue brought about by the battle during the day. Lin Ling, Xiao Yu, and the rest were also in a corner, drinking wine and recovering their strength. Lin Ling, right? Senior sister is looking for you. After drinking a few cups of wine, a woman walked over with a smile. This woman was also extremely beautiful, especially her figure. It was extremely hot, causing people to be reluctant to look away after a single glance. It's so late? Why is she looking for me? Lin Ling frowned, feeling that something was wrong. This, I don't know. Senior sister said that you'll know when you go. The woman said delicately, Senior brother Lin Ling, please don't make things difficult for junior sister. If you don't go, senior sister will definitely punish me. Second brother, go and take a look. That kind of delicateness was undoubtedly fatal to Sakura, so he couldn't help but advise. Lin Ling was still frowning. After pondering for a while, he finally nodded, but secretly transmitted his voice. If anything happens, you don't have to care about me, and leave immediately. We'll gather with the sound transmission talisman. Okay. Meng Lu nodded. They didn't have any friends in this place, so they had to be on guard against any unexpected incidents. Lin Ling also stood up and followed the woman forward. Not long after, a pink tent appeared in front of them. From inside, the laughter of women could be heard. After seeing the tent, the beauty in front of Lin Ling smiled and led Lin Ling towards the tent. Wait, since you're already here, ask your senior sister to come out and talk. Lin Ling suddenly said. He was still vigilant, because if Long Yang really wanted to find him, she would face him alone. However, there were obviously many women in the tent, which was not in line with Long Yang's style. Senior sister fought a lot during the day and is a little tired now. Why don't you talk to senior sister yourself? Senior brother Lin Ling, I beg you. As long as you see senior sister, my mission will be considered complete. The beauty didn't seem to want Lin Ling to leave. She pulled on Lin Ling's hand and rubbed her full breasts against Lin Ling's arm. However, Lin Ling shook her off and said coolly, "Then lead the way." Thank you, senior. That beauty was obviously very happy. She brought Lin Ling into the tent. The women's tent was obviously blocked by a barrier to prevent perverts from using their heaven's eye to peek in. This also caused Lin Ling to be unable to detect the scene in the tent unless he forcefully broke the barrier. However, doing so was tantamount to being a hooligan. Therefore, after entering the tent, Lin Ling realized that the scene in the tent was different from what he had imagined. Not only was Long Yang not there, but there were 3 women. They were not wearing clothes and seemed to be waiting for something. When they saw Lin Ling, they immediately screamed, "What are you doing? Help, there's a hooligan." This caused Lin Ling's face to change. He looked to his side and saw that the woman who had led the way had also unbuttoned her clothes, revealing her fair and jade-like breasts. However, she covered them with her hands and also cried out in alarm. As soon as she cried out in alarm, the surroundings suddenly became lively and noisy. "Junior sister, what happened?" Many men's voices rang out in the distance. "Senior, save us. He wants to do something improper to us." All the women were shouting. The woman who had led the way rushed out of the tent and shouted to the outside. "Bitch!" Seeing this scene, how could Lin Ling not know what was going on? However, he was too lazy to do anything. He walked out of the tent casually. Obviously, he knew that this was a premeditated plan. Moreover, the people who had carried out this plan were not Long Yang, but those who had targeted him. "It's you. Well, you people from the Grand Change Nebulous sect are too bold. How dare you humiliate the disciples of the Willow Leaf Gate in broad daylight? How should you be punished?" As soon as he walked out of the tent, many young men shouted angrily. Among them were Huage from the White Cloud Villa, Huahu Ichiro from the Firefox Valley, Shi Long from the Heavenly Court, and many others. However, to their surprise, Lin Ling was calm in the face of the anger of the crowd. Instead, he revealed a disdainful smile at the corner of his mouth. This kind of attitude was somewhat beyond their expectations. It was as if Lin Ling knew about their conspiracy. The fact was that Lin Ling had taken away all the beauties today. This caused the crowd to regard him as a thorn in their side. In addition, Lin Ling was only at the weakest Sage-to-Be realm. Therefore, they did not take him seriously. However, this was an alliance of the major sections. Without a good excuse, they did not dare to act rashly. Therefore, they came up with this plan to frame Su Ke. Seeing Lin Ling's calmness, the disheveled women immediately cried as if they were victims. "Junior brother Lin, you've gone too far." The cries attracted a majestic voice. A man strode forward and appeared in front of Lin Ling. He was Jiang Wuxia from the Grand Change Nebulous sect. "How have I gone too far?" Seeing this, Lin Ling finally spoke. "In broad daylight, in front of so many people, you force yourself to do these improper things. Don't you think you've gone too far? You're bringing shame to the Grand Change Nebulous sect." Jiang Wuxia shouted angrily. "Senior brother Jiang, he's from your sect. Please uphold justice for us. The women looked at Jiang Wuxia as if they were begging for help. Jiang Wuxia nodded his head as if he had placed righteousness before family. This undoubtedly made Lin Ling's eyes turn cold. The sneer on his face deepened. Junior brother Lin, what else do you have to say? Jiang Wuxia also looked at Lin Ling. Of course I have something to say. Lin Ling nodded his head and said calmly, First, it's dark now. How can it be broad daylight? Second, with their looks, even if they were given to me, Lin Ling, I wouldn't want them. Third, even if I really did those things, it's none of your business. It's none of your business. Lin Ling's voice became louder at the last sentence, causing countless echoes. Jiang Wuxia was stunned, but the veins on his forehead were bulging. After all, he was the last disciple of the Grand Change Nebula. He could be considered Lin Ling's martial uncle. However, Lin Ling did not give him any face in front of so many people. Brother Jiang, this junior of your sect doesn't seem to take you seriously at all. The others also started to sow discord with a sneer on their faces. Lin Ling, I'll give you one more chance. Do you admit to your crimes or not? These words undoubtedly aroused Jiang Wuxia's anger. Who do you think you are? You just arrived and didn't ask me the whole story. Instead, you helped an outsider. Do you still expect me to give you face? Again, it's none of your business. Chapter 32:58. Release the tiger back to the mountain. Lin Ling couldn't be bothered to explain anything, because it was useless to try to pin a crime on him. Catch him. This man is arrogant and openly affects the unity of the group. We must catch him as an example. That's right. That's right. This man is scum. He will definitely affect the operation. That's right. Brother Jiang, what do you think about this? That's right. Angry shouts came from the crowd. Jiang Wuxia looked at Lin Ling and shook his head. I can't help you with this, Lin Ling, he said indifferently. You'd better surrender. That's enough. Obviously, he had represented Tai E Nebula in handing over Lin Ling. The others silently took a step forward when they heard this, and they revealed smiles of success. As far as they were concerned, this kid at the half-saint realm was still alive. Bunch of trash. I'll remember you. Don't think that today's matter is over. There will be plenty of time in the future. I'll settle this account with you slowly. Now goodbye. That's enough. However, Lin Ling was still as calm as ever. His entire body's boundary essence erupted. In the next instant, he disappeared from where he stood. The surrounding air exploded. When they looked at Lin Ling again, Lin Ling had already appeared in the distant sky. His speed was so terrifying that it surpassed the speed of all half-saints. It was the speed of 90 boundaries of the physical body. Everyone's pupils trembled violently. The speed of 90 boundaries of the physical body? Not to mention the half-saints. Even many sages didn't have such speed. For a moment, everyone looked at each other. Was this the half-saint kid they thought they could catch easily? See you later. At the same time, Lin Ling's cold voice came from the distant sky. It was as if he was mocking them. They had been thinking about how to frame Lin Ling, but they had forgotten that even if they succeeded in framing him, could they catch Lin Ling? Bastard! Numerous furious cries sounded out at the same time. You're only at the Sage-to-Be realm, yet you have the speed of 90 boundaries. You're very powerful. It's a pity that you're facing a Sage realm expert. Everyone, you only have to wait for the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. I will definitely capture him alive. After a moment of silence, several arrogant voices rang out. They came from the White Cloud Villas Hua, Gu, and Huahu Ichiro. The two of them were geniuses in the Saint realm. Their speed had long surpassed the speed of 100 realms. I'm counting on you. Everyone was overjoyed. With the two of them taking action, they would definitely succeed. Where do you think you're going? The two of them roared, and the space around them twisted. They shot toward Lin Ling at a speed that exceeded 100 realms. Kid, do you have anything to say before you get caught? Two voices came out of their mouths at the same time. In front of Lin Ling, two handsome young men also appeared, causing waves of screams in the mountain range. Those women who had framed Lin Ling before were now shouting in worship. Trash. However, Lin Ling only smiled disdainfully. Around his body, a violent wind appeared and a torrential downpour descended. The art of wind and rain myriad realms. Previously, Lin Ling had only used his physical strength. Now, he used the power of a higher realm. In an instant, his speed increased to 50 boundary speed. In front of Hua Gu and Hua Hu Ichiro's eyes, Lin Ling disappeared. Everyone, we'll meet again someday. I'll take revenge for today's matter in the future. His speed had almost reached 150 boundary speed, not to mention the initial stage of the Saint Realm. Even the intermediate stage of the Saint Realm would find it difficult to achieve such speed. At the foot of the mountain, there was complete silence. Everyone's mouths were wide open. That guy could still increase his speed? Was he still a Sage-to-Be Realm Jr.? Especially the women, their bodies trembled subconsciously. Although Lin Ling's cultivation was only at the half-saint realm, the words he left behind before he left made them have a feeling that they seemed to have provoked an existence that they shouldn't have, releasing the tiger back to the mountain. This guy. As for Hua Gu and Hua Hu Ichiro, their faces were extremely ugly at this moment. Previously, they had wanted to seize the credit and capture this Sage-to-Be Realm Jr. alive. Who knew that even though they were fast, Lin Ling was even faster. This caused their handsome looks to be as if they had been slapped hard in the face. Both of them were trembling with anger. They could only walk back to the foot of the mountain helplessly. Brother Hua Hu, don't be afraid. He has entered the Heavenly King Mountain alone. He will definitely die. Someone who could not eat grapes scolded the sour grapes. That's right. The others nodded. Most of them were experts at the Saint Realm. Now that a Sage-to-Be Realm Jr. had left in such a carefree manner, they would definitely not lose face. Beautiful lady, you should know what kind of person he is. This guy is extremely daring and reckless. Fortunately, we exposed him for you. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Suddenly, Hua Ji's gaze fell on a beautiful lady in the distance. She was Long Yang. Thank you, everyone. Long Yang seemed to be in a state of shock. However, she quickly smiled gratefully. There's no need for that. We are just unwilling to let you be deceived by others. Hua Hu Ichiro immediately spoke up. His heart was filled with joy. He might be able to win her heart if he helped her this time. Unfortunately, they did not know that Long Yang knew that Lin Ling was not that kind of person. What a bunch of idiots. That fellow's strength is unfathomable. Aren't you provoking a porcupine by provoking him? A skinny young man who was standing in the distance sneered coldly. He was Wangu Wuji. He had fought with Lin Ling before. Although it had ended in a draw, he knew that Lin Ling had concealed his strength. At that time, Lin Ling had not revealed his talent or martial arts. Therefore, he guessed that if Lin Ling used his full strength, even initial phase true saints would not be a match for him. If it weren't for the fact that there were too many people here, Lin Ling would have killed these clowns a long time ago. Interesting. If that fellow can return alive, he will definitely stir up a storm in the Yin province. Wangu Wuji did not bother about those people as he turned around and left. Everyone was still talking excitedly. It was as though they had caught a spy. It was as though Lin Ling had already died in the Heavenly King Mountain. After all, it was extremely dangerous for a person to enter the Heavenly King Mountain alone. Swoosh! At this moment, Lin Ling was shooting into the distance. The ground beneath his feet was disappearing at the speed of time. The speed of 150 realms of speed allowed him to face a Saint Realm expert, as if there was no one around. At the same time, a voice transmission talisman appeared in his hand. He was looking for Xiao Yu and the others. He only remembered the grudge he had for what had happened in the past. However, he did not care about it. After all, he did not want to follow those people. The mission this time is to find one of the 5 great demon elders of the Great Demon Sect. Long Yang has already given me the location of that great demon elder. Lin Ling took out the map that Long Yang had given him. On the mysterious map, there was a dot of light moving around. That dot of light was the location of the great demon elder. Lin Ling did not know how Long Yang had gotten her hands on the map. However, the fact that the dot of light could record the location of a great demon elder was truly amazing. Something's not right. Chapter 32:59. The Terrifying Elder Demon. He took out the sound transmitting talisman and compared it. His expression changed dramatically because he found that Sakura and the others were very close to the elder demon. Moreover, Lin Ling found that the elder demon was approaching Sakura and the others. Obviously, Sakura and the others were in danger. Lin Ling couldn't help but speed up and shoot forward. At this moment, on the other side, under the ancient mountain, the gray sky seemed to be suppressing. Countless demonic beasts flew in the sky with a terrifying aura. The sound of each demonic beast caused a huge storm. Not only were there many demonic beasts, but each of them was extremely powerful. Looking carefully, these demonic beasts all had a characteristic, which was that they were pieced together. For example, there was a huge rainbow eagle. Its wings were like rainbows, extremely dazzling, but its head was actually a woman's head. That pair of eyes even blossomed with a demonic light. For example, there was a snake bee as thick as a finger. It actually had human eyes. On the ground, several figures looked at the sky with a solemn expression. There are too many of them. We're surrounded. These few people were Sakura and the others. Rumble. Sakura turned into a skeleton, holding a long halberd. As he waved it, the void cracked, and a huge tortoise and phoenix were swept away. Meng Lu also floated up like the god of the underworld, and many demonic beasts lost their souls. However, there were only two of them. Even if their combat strength was comparable to the first layer of the half-saint realm, they couldn't exhaust the number of demonic beasts. Brother, Xiao! Xiaoyu hugged the little white rabbit and led the little deer, looking at the sky with tears in her eyes. She was very scared. Roar! At this moment, a demonic beast with a dragon's body and phoenix wings swooped down and swept Xiaoyu away. Xiaoyu! Xiao! Sakura and Meng Lu shouted at the same time. They wanted to help, but there were too many demonic beasts around, and they couldn't leave. Xiaoyu was entrusted to them by Lin Ling. If something happened to her, how could they explain it to Lin Ling? Lin Ling once said that even if the sky fell and the earth cracked, nothing must happen to Xiaoyu. Whoosh! In the time it took for a spark to fly off a piece of flint, a cold light flashed and actually cut the dragon-winged demonic beast that was pouncing over into two halves. At the same time, an old man appeared beside Xiaoyu. He carried Xiaoyu and shot towards the other side. Just as he disappeared, a pair of pitch-black pincers appeared on the ground. With a cracking sound, it was as if they could crush everything. Fortunately, Xiaoyu had been rescued. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. What crawled out from the ground was also a bird. It had the claws of a crab, the tail of a poisonous scorpion, and a pair of wings that were as hard as iron. They're all seniors. Sakura and the others took a look at it and couldn't help but be overjoyed. Grandpa, Xiaoyu also revealed a smile. The person who had saved her was none other than Do Afterimage. Fortunately, I rushed over. If I was a step slower, young master would have scolded me to death. Do Afterimage revealed a gratified smile and wiped the sweat from his forehead. He had been secretly following Lin Ling. After seeing Sakura and the others leave, he also followed up and saw this scene. However, the crisis wasn't over yet. Do Afterimage's gaze also looked towards the sky. The sky was dark, and countless birds filled the sky, making people tremble with fear. However, those birds seemed to have stopped swooping down and hovered in the air as if waiting for something. This also made Sakura and the others quickly land beside Xiaoyu. One person turned into a huge skeleton, and the other turned into a white-haired god of the underworld, guarding there. Crow. An ear-piercing sound came from the sky. A terrifying thing happened. A huge human head floated over. This human head belonged to an old man. His hair was white, but his appearance was extremely ferocious. He revealed an evil smile, and his mouth was actually filled with rolling devil clouds. The surrounding birds, under his smile, were actually torn apart, and then on top of that human head, they were constantly pieced together. A large amount of feathers and blood also sprinkled down from the sky. That cruel scene directly made Sakura and the others frown, because they saw that some birds were torn into two halves, but they seemed to be still alive and floated over to be pieced together. What kind of terrifying thing is this? Hee humans. Finally, a demonic beast that didn't look like anything appeared. On that huge human head, various organs of demonic beasts appeared. There were dragon claws, phoenix wings, 5-colored feathers, and so on. Not only did it look terrifying, it was also extremely ugly. Your Yin State's martial arts alliance came to destroy our great devil sect. You really don't know life from death. Since you dare to come, none of you can leave. However, your talents are not bad. Just right to be my subordinates. The human head let out a low voice, and those words made Sakura and the others tremble. Could it be that they were also going to be pieced together as demonic beasts? Thinking of becoming the head of a demonic beast and then being controlled, they immediately felt a chill in their hearts. They couldn't wait to commit suicide, waiting to be captured. That human head opened its mouth, and a terrifying power sealed the earth, making Sakura and the others unable to move. Then, countless palms floated out from a human head's mouth. Some were skeletal palms, some were full of wrinkles, as if they were going to tear Sakura and the others apart. Meng Lu, protect Xiaoyu. I also want to, but I can't move. I don't know what power this monster used to seal my boundary. Damn it. Disher Tian and Meng Lu both became anxious. This person is one of the 5 great devil elders of the Great Devil Sect. Beside them, the afterimages let out a dignified voice. Devil Elder? Damn it. Our luck is too bad to actually meet a devil elder. Hearing those words, Sakura and the others' pupils fiercely trembled. Great Devil Sect, a devil god who had once fought with the gods during the gods' era. How could the devil elder under him be someone that Sakura and the others could fight against? Brother, are we all going to die? Xiaoyu's eyes were filled with tears. She obviously knew what had happened. Brother Lin Ling isn't here. Where did he go? He said that he would protect me like a big brother. Xiaoyu's cute cheeks were filled with more tears. Hearing those words, Sakura and the others sighed in their hearts. Previously, they left the mountain because they knew that there were changes in the mountain. According to Lin Ling's agreement, they had to leave immediately. Right now, they didn't know how Lin Ling was doing. Perhaps Lin Ling also had his own troubles. Xiaoyu, don't blame Brother Lin Ling. He has always been protecting us, just like our flag, but he is only one person in the end. It's impossible for him to take care of everything. He will also get tired, Sakura said. Hearing that, Xiaoyu's eyes flickered and nodded. Grandpa said that Brother Lin Ling is a real man. He has principles and values relationships, so I don't blame him. It's just that when I die, I can't see Brother Lin Ling. Xiaoyu is unhappy. How can we not be like this? Chapter 3260. Lin Ling at full strength. While they were talking, the terrifying palms were getting closer and closer to them. They were like small knives that were about to cut them apart. But at this moment, a dragon roared in the distance. The dragon bow shot over, and 4 arrows intertwined, forming a huge dragon god bow. Lin Ling. Almost at the same time, Xiaoyu and the rest looked up at the sky, their faces filled with excitement. Rumble. The huge bow of the dragon god struck the human head with extraordinary power, causing countless feathers to shoot out. The human head also let out a painful cry. Obviously, the huge head's gaze was on Sakura and the rest, which caused it to be shot by the arrow. However, this terrifying human head was really powerful. It was shot directly by an arrow, but it was only injured. There's a sword from the gods. In the distance, a blood sword slashed over fiercely, cutting the bodies of countless demon birds. If Wuxia and the rest were here and saw the arrow and the sword, they would definitely be shocked, because with such an attack, even 70% of them would not be able to block it. Wah! The huge head made a sound again, spitting out blood from its mouth. Its withered yellow eyes also looked at the sky in the distance. A figure in a blue and white robe, holding a large sword diagonally, walked over step by step. His body was covered in colorful flames, and there was a dragon god roaring above his head. Behind him was a huge mouth. His pace was not fast, but it was as if he was stepping on the heart of the sky, with a domineering aura. This was Linling's true, full strength. If Hua Ge and the rest saw this, they would definitely be shocked. If it weren't for the fact that they had more people at that time, Linling would have killed them with his sword by relying on Hua Ge and Huahu Yilong. Go to hell. The huge head shook, and countless feathers shot over like arrows. They were densely packed and filled the sky, leaving no blind spots. Seeing this, the blue-robed youth's face turned serious. His body shook, and darkness descended. Whoosh! Countless black shadows shook out from the young man's body. The young man seemed to have been corroded, and his body kept disappearing, causing the surrounding sky to be filled with specks of darkness. If one were to look carefully, one would see that those specks of darkness were like sludge. The darkness quickly condensed and turned into a huge pool of sludge. The sludge let out a rumbling sound and opened its mouth wide. Whoosh! Whoosh! Countless feathers shot over, but they were all swallowed by that mouth. This terrifying scene scared Sakura and the others silly. Linling had turned into sludge? What's going on? World-swallowing beast. Do Afterimage was very knowledgeable and exclaimed at this moment. Master, when did you become a realm-swallowing beast? What? Are you saying that this black thing is Linling? Hearing this, Meng Lu and the others were shocked. They couldn't believe their eyes. Big brother, take Xiaoyu and the others and leave immediately. Almost at the same time, a low voice came from the huge sludge. It was Linling's voice. Oh, okay, but what about you? Sakura and the others reacted, but they were still a little worried. Don't worry about me. This guy is still no match for me. Linling's voice came from the sludge again. However, this voice made Meng Lu frown. He said, Linling, why don't we join forces? Go immediately. Unfortunately, Linling rejected them directly. Meng Lu gritted his teeth and nodded to Sakura. In fact, Meng Lu had already guessed it. He knew that Linling's words were just to comfort them. Linling was no match for the Great Devil Sect's 5 Great Devil Elders. The Great Devil Elder was so terrifying that even the martial ancestor couldn't do anything to him because he was mysterious and difficult to deal with. Linling was only a sage to be. However, they wouldn't be of much help if they stayed, so it was better to retreat immediately. This would give Linling space to escape. However, the huge head didn't seem to care about Xiaoyu and the others escaping. Instead, it stared at Linling. Obviously, the huge head was eyeing everything that Linling had. Dragon bones, extremely powerful dragon bones, realm-devouring beast. TSK. I've been looking for this kind of material. You're the best monster for me to put together. The gigantic head let out an exhilarating laugh. Old monster, I know you're interested in me, but do you think you can catch me? Linling's voice came from the sludge with a touch of sarcasm. Come to think of it, you and I are both monsters, but you're much uglier. At least I'm black all over, but what about you? You don't look like anything. You have the feathers of a chicken and the soles of a duck. How'd you put it together? It's so unartistic. To be honest, you give me the feeling of a drowned rat. After the voice came out, the head roared, and the feathers around it stood up. They were both monsters, but Linling was much better than him. He couldn't be much better. However, Linling mocked him as a drowned rat. If I catch you, I'll tear your mouth off. The giant head let out a furious roar. Hee, you're angry. Look at your feathers sputtering everywhere. Now you're like a duck that has been stripped of all its feathers. No, an old duck. However, Linling teased again. The reason why he was teasing him was because he wanted him to focus all his attention on him, giving Xiaoyu and the others time to escape. Old duck, I'll take my leave. Then, Linling turned into a shadow and shot backward. Along the way, the black sludge began to transform and turned into a man, running away at a speed of 150 worlds. Come on, old chicken woman. At the same time, Linling also laughed mockingly. Old duck, Chicken Woman? The 5 great demon elders of the great demon sect had never been scolded like this before, and it was by a kid who was still wet behind the ears. It was exposed. They let out all sorts of cries and chased after Lin Ling in a grandiose manner. He swore that he would torture that kid to death. However, in his anger, he forgot to separate all the demonic beasts. Instead, he chased after Lin Ling in the form of a huge head. Although his speed was also very fast, he was only slightly faster than Lin Ling. Lin Ling's face was a little serious. The 5 great demon elders were really scary. However, it was best if they could catch up with him. This would allow Xiao Yu and the others to escape danger. Then, Lin Ling looked into the distance. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. He thought of Jiang Wuxia and the others. "I'm sorry, everyone, but Lin Ling am back." Lin Ling's lips curled into an evil smile. He planned to bring the monster behind him to those guys as a greeting gift. At this moment, under the ancient mountain, people gathered around the bonfire and chatted in 2s and 3s. The topic was about Lin Ling. What a lucky guy. If he didn't run fast, I would be the first to kill him. Yes, he's just a half-saint. He's like a cat seeing a mouse. Chapter 32:61. Gifts. When will the big operation at Heavenly King Mountain end? We don't know where the demon elder is hiding. I'm afraid he's like a stray dog now that he knows we're here. Yes, the young men said proudly. Their words made the eyes of the girls nearby burn. Those with great strength would always be worshipped by women. However, at this moment, a loud roar came from afar. Billowing air waves stirred up the dark clouds in the sky. Everyone, I, Lin Ling, am here to visit you. Yes, amidst the rolling dark clouds, a slender figure also appeared. Bang, bang, bang. Almost at the same time, everyone at the foot of the mountain stood up with cold smiles on their faces. Is this guy crazy? How dare he come back? Senior Hua Hu, Senior Hua, Senior Jiang. After those people stood up, they roared excitedly. I know he's back. However, just as they finished speaking, a few figures walked out of the tent in the distance. It was Jiang Wuxia and the others. They had cold smiles on their faces because they did not understand why Lin Ling had come back. Jiang Wuxia walked out with his hands behind his back, looking righteous. Lin Ling, you only have 2 choices now that you've come back. 1, surrender. 2, apologize with your death. If you choose the first option, I guarantee that you won't die. Huh. As soon as he finished speaking, the people around him laughed. They looked at Jiang Wuxia as if he was their leader. Jiang Wuxia naturally noticed this. He was delighted and said again, Lin Ling, I'll give you 3 breaths to think about it. Otherwise, don't blame me. However, before he could finish speaking, his pupils trembled violently. The others were still sneering, but their smiles froze. The expressions on their faces became extremely interesting. Behind Lin Ling, the clouds rolled. However, the shadow of a huge creature became clearer and clearer, gradually turning into a monster. This monster was as ugly as it could be. Most importantly, the aura emitted by this huge head was extremely terrifying. Seniors, I've brought it here. Almost at the same time, Lin Ling's anxious voice floated out. Hearing those words, everyone's pupils trembled fiercely. What did this guy bring over? It actually gave off such a terrifying feeling. Lin Ling, what is this? Someone shouted anxiously. Old demon. It's the old demon we've been looking for. Kill it. Lin Ling let out a roar. He was getting closer and closer to the foot of the mountain. But as soon as he finished speaking, everyone's expressions changed. Demon Elder? The 5 great demon elders of the great demon sect were existences comparable to martial ancestors. How could they possibly be able to kill such a colossal being? Unless all the teams gathered together, there was still a possibility. You. Jiang Wuxia pointed a finger at Lin Ling, his face as dark as an eggplant. He really wanted to scold Lin Ling for provoking such a disaster. But if he said it out loud, others would mock him for being afraid of the great devil sect. This situation where he couldn't go up or down made him so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. Martial Uncle Jiang, I've lured Old Demon out according to your plan. But Lin Ling didn't wait for him to say more. He had already landed on the mountain and said with a smile on his face. As soon as he said that, old demon, who was chasing from behind, naturally thought that Lin Ling was with these people. Therefore, he also regarded everyone as a thorn in his side. He didn't doubt that Lin Ling and the people on the mountain were enemies. After all, he already knew that the martial arts alliance of the Yen State had come here to eliminate him. Go to hell, a bunch of ants and stinky brats. Do you think they could protect you? Old demon roared. His huge mouth opened, and demonic clouds rolled and covered the sky. Then, a large number of demonic beasts flew out and swept toward the mountain. At this time, the martial artists on the mountain panicked. They really wanted to explain that they had nothing to do with Lin Ling, but it seemed to be useless to explain. Damn it, Huagu and Huahu Ichiro couldn't help but curse. They couldn't care less as they used all their strength to block the flying demonic beasts. Everyone else did the same. If they didn't resist, they would die. Instead, Lin Ling sneered in the midst of the chaotic crowd and quietly disappeared. This fellow is really vicious. I told you that letting him go would be like letting a tiger return to the mountain. At the edge of the mountain, Longyang's eyes shone brightly. A cold smile appeared on her face as she turned around and left. Another person did the same. He was Wangu Wuji. He actually dared to provoke old demon alone. I really don't know how he did it. However, with our strength, we can't deal with old demon. It's better for us to leave. Wangu Wuji felt a chill in his heart as he left silently. As for the mountain, there were countless casualties. Among them, Huagu, Huahu Ichiro, and Jiang Wuxia were the ones who had been attacked directly. Therefore, they were in the greatest danger. The people around them were also dead. This was especially true for the few women who had tried to harm Lin Ling. They were torn apart by the flying demonic beasts and died miserably. Their eyes were wide open, and it was as though they hadn't died in peace. They had never imagined that they would die here because they had offended a half-true Saint Realm Jr. That half-true Saint Realm Jr. was like a lone wolf in the wilderness. If you bullied him, he would hide in the wilderness and give you a fatal blow at any time. A person like that wasn't someone they could afford to offend. As time passed, more and more people died on the mountain. Of course, even more people started to flee. They cursed and swore at the person they were cursing. Of course, the person they were cursing was Lin Ling. Block them for me. Huagu, Huahu, Ichiro, and the others placed their junior brothers in front of them. Only then were they able to escape the pursuit of the flying demonic beasts. As for Jiang Wuxia, he was more powerful. He fought desperately and was seriously injured. In the end, he also escaped from the mountain. They were undoubtedly furious because they had framed Lin Ling. Now, Lin Ling had returned the favor by framing them. The gifts he had given them were extremely great, almost causing them to be completely wiped out. Fortunately, Elder Demon's target wasn't them. Otherwise, none of them would have been able to escape. Elder Demon's target was Lin Ling. Moreover, he had discovered that Lin Ling had already escaped from the mountain. What a cunning junior. Do you think you can escape? After calming down, Elder Demon's body exploded. He turned into many flying demonic beasts and flew in all directions in pursuit of Lin Ling. If he had used this method before, Lin Ling would have been caught. However, Elder Demon was so aggrieved by Lin Ling's scolding that he forgot about it. On the other side, Lin Ling was running wildly. His face was extremely solemn. They've all escaped here. Xiaoyu and the others should be safe. He muttered to himself. The first person to worry about was Xiaoyu. That was because he had promised Nanwu Fengyu. Lin Ling had always been a man of his word. Chapter 3262. Life and Death Escape. In fact, when Xiaoyu had suddenly erupted with a mysterious power and saved Lin Ling and the others from being pursued by martial god Wen Tian, Lin Ling had already guessed that Xiaoyu was hiding a powerful force. However, Xiaoyu seemed to be unable to control this force. He could not guarantee that Xiaoyu would be able to use it under the Demon Elder's attack. Therefore, Lin Ling decided to lure the Demon Elder away. Oh no, this beast is catching up. Then, Lin Ling's expression changed. He sensed a black dot behind him. A flying beast was flying towards him at a terrifying speed. Its speed had exceeded 150 world speed. Flying beasts were the fastest. In terms of speed, Lin Ling could not compare. Crow, just as he sensed the black dot, the flying beast appeared behind him in the blink of an eye. It was a demonic beast with the mouth of a crocodile, the eyes of a human, and the wings of an immortal crane. Its strength seemed to be at the sage realm. Roar! When the demonic beast saw Lin Ling, its speed increased again. Its huge mouth bit Lin Ling. The force of the bite gave Lin Ling the feeling that it could reach 1,000 world speed. Clang! At the critical moment, Lin Ling used the tyrannical Song sword and clashed with the sword. However, his wrist also started to hurt. Looking at the demonic beast, its mouth was cut open by Lin Ling's sword. However, the demonic beast did not die. From its open mouth, a tentacle stretched out. Then, like a flower blooming, it was full of sharp teeth. It was extremely disgusting. Lin Ling felt that if he was caught by the tentacle, he would definitely become one of the demonic beasts that were pieced together. 1,000 transformations. 1,000 transformations. Without hesitation, Lin Ling activated the illusion god's true inheritance and created illusions to bewitch the demonic beast. Then he ran wildly again. However, more and more demonic beasts flew over, leaving Lin Ling with no choice but to flee while fighting. Moreover, as more and more demonic beasts appeared, Lin Ling also suffered heavy injuries. His blue robe was dyed red with blood. After all, these demon beasts that had been pieced together were extremely ferocious, and all of them were at the Saint Realm. If Lin Ling's foundation wasn't so solid, he would have been torn into pieces a long time ago. However, Lin Ling wasn't worried about the demonic beasts. Instead, he was worried about the old demon, because if they were entangled by these demonic beasts, Elder Demon could come at any time. Scram! Lin Ling's eyes were bloodshot as he sent a snake-like bird flying with a slash of his sword. The snake possessed a powerful rebounding force that sent him crashing into the ground, causing countless mountains to explode. Crow! Those flying beasts wouldn't miss such an opportunity, and they charged towards the ground like locusts. However, just as they approached the place where Lin Ling had crashed, black plants suddenly grew crazily on the originally barren land, forming a huge, lush, ancient forest. It was little Kunlun. The speed of those flying beasts was immediately suppressed, and some of them were even entangled by the vines. On the ground, Lin Ling spat out a mouthful of blood. After he got up, he felt lucky and shouted, "Little Kunlun, leave now." Kunlun. In the dense forest, a vine as thick as an arm shot out and wrapped around Lin Ling's arm. After that, Lin Ling ran wildly along the dense forest. He knew very well that little Kunlun couldn't stop so many demonic beasts. It could only hold them off for a certain amount of time. Sure enough, after the time it took for 3 incense sticks to burn, the dense primeval demon forest was torn apart, and the flying beast that filled the sky flew towards Lin Ling again. What a troublesome beast! Looking back at the shocking scene, Lin Ling gritted his teeth and ran wildly again. Moreover, the worry in his heart became more and more intense. Now that he had wasted so much time, the old demon should appear at any time. At that time, Lin Ling would really be powerless to resist. Rumble, bang, bang, bang. Once again, he fought and retreated. After a full hour, this corner of Heavenly King Mountain seemed to have been destroyed by Lin Ling. However, the old demon still didn't appear, which made Lin Ling extremely surprised. At this moment, he didn't know that the old demon was blocked by a figure far behind him. It was a woman in snow-white clothes. She held a cyan rainbow sword in her hand and stood quietly in the sky, like a fairy from the 9 heavens descending to the mortal world. Her aura was extremely cold, and there was a vast Buddha's aura spreading out from time to time. However, if one carefully sensed it, one would find that there was an evil aura in it. One good and one evil aura perfectly merged on her body. Most importantly, she was very beautiful. There was a swastika between her eyebrows, which made her look like a peerless enchantress. In front of her was a huge human head. Get lost. The ferocious human head roared angrily. Clang! The woman in white didn't speak. She waved her hand and pointed the cyan rainbow sword at the huge human head. As one of the 9 states' 10 evils, do you want to go against me? The ferocious human head spoke again. If the other party didn't have a powerful background, he would have already attacked. You can't kill him. The woman in white's pretty face was cold and emotionless as she spoke coldly. Why? He isn't one of the 9 states' 10 evils. Why do you want to protect him? The ferocious human head seemed to be confused. However, the white-clothed woman frowned when she heard this. She seemed to be a little puzzled herself, but her eyes were filled with determination. No reason. If I say no, then no. There is no explanation, only one sentence, but carried a domineering aura. You're crazy, saintess of the Immortal Temple. I'll give you 3 breaths of time to consider. If you don't get lost, don't blame me for ignoring the name of the Immortal Temple and killing you. The ferocious human head was obviously angry. Let me tell you, that brat has the best material. Even if I don't kill him, the other old demons will definitely attack when they see him. You can't protect him. Cut the crap, let's fight. Hearing this, the beautiful woman didn't say anything else. Her sword light was like water, carrying frost, Buddhist power, and evil power as it slashed toward the ferocious human head. She was obviously not a talkative person. She only knew what she should do and what she shouldn't do. Once she had decided on something, she would not change her mind until death. Rumble. The old demon was suddenly blocked, and he was furious. That was because the woman in white didn't show any mercy in her attack. However, he was a little afraid of the Immortal Temple, so he didn't dare to use his full strength. After all, he was only one of the 5 old demons of the Great Devil Sect, and the woman in white was the saintess of the Immortal Temple. In terms of status, she was above him. Although the Great Devil Sect wasn't afraid of the Immortal Temple, if he killed the saintess, the Immortal Temple would definitely kill him at all costs. Of course, with the passage of time, this kind of apprehension gradually disappeared, because if he didn't do anything, he would be in danger. You force me. The ferocious human head floated backward, and its huge mouth opened. Countless sharp feathers shot out at an extremely fast speed, occupying the whole world. Clang, clang, clang. The woman in white held her sword to block, but she couldn't block that much. Blood also appeared on her white clothes, as if flowers were blooming. It was extremely beautiful. Are you still not going to make way? Chapter 3263. I can't let you kill him. Clang. However, even though the woman was injured, she still did not retreat. She only used her sword to express her thoughts. Crazy. This also made the ferocious head throw caution to the wind. Even more feathers shot out from his mouth, accompanied by an endless number of powerful birds. The white-clothed woman was like a lonely boat in a storm. More and more injuries appeared on her body. She was using all her strength to resist, but this also caused her pretty face to become haggard. If a man was here, he would definitely be heartbroken. He could not understand why she was risking her life to stop a demon elder. I admire your perseverance. I can't outlast you, but can I avoid you? Seeing that the white-clothed woman had no intention of giving way, the demon elder did not want to pay any more attention to her. He planned to go around her. However, just as he passed by the white-clothed woman, a terrifying aura enveloped the sky, silencing everything. The ferocious head's pupils trembled violently, and he inexplicably felt his heart palpitate. Subconsciously, he raised his head to look. Thunder rumbled in the sky, and the power of a god pressed down like a dark cloud. Divine punishment. The ferocious head let out a terrified cry. Then he turned his head and looked at the white-clothed woman who had collapsed in the void. You have the divine punishment god, eye of the 6 great god eyes of the universe. Moreover, you have activated this god eye to the limit and achieved the ultimate desolate body, and it is not weak at all. The ferocious head's voice was filled with shock. Ultimate desolate bodies also had differences in strength. If one reached the limit, it would be the power of a god. As for the divine punishment god I, the life god I, the death god I, the space-time god I, and the reincarnation god I, the destiny god I, it was as famous as the ninth god I. It could control divine punishment and was one of the most powerful god eyes of the six great god eyes of the universe. He had never imagined that this woman, who was only at the saint realm, would be hiding such power. However, on second thought, it was normal. That woman was the saintess of the immortal temple. Rumble. In the sky, endless lightning shot down, its speed reaching the speed of 500 worlds. The void immediately exploded, and then the lightning was like chains, binding the giant head. This made the demon elder relax a little. Although the white-clothed woman had activated the divine punishment god I to its ultimate limit, she was still very old. However, it was clear that she was still unable to unleash her strongest attack, so she could only bind him. Moreover, it would definitely cause huge side effects to that white-clothed woman if she intended to take control of the energy of a god while at the saint realm. And his guess was right. The white-clothed woman's pretty face was as pale as a sheet of paper, devoid of blood. She was extremely haggard, making one's heart ache incomparably. Her clothes were stained with blood, but she still stretched out one hand, 5 fingers spread open, controlling the lightning punishment chain that bound the giant head. Moreover, with the passage of time, she gradually became older. "I can't let you kill him." She allowed a weak voice. Perhaps at this moment, he was the only pillar of support in her heart. "Why?" Old Demon also let out a low growl. "He saved me." The woman's dazed eyes suddenly lit up. She thought of the man who had blocked countless people for her in the ancient forbidden forest and was stabbed by her sword in the end. At that time, she felt as if her heart had been cut by a knife. She really wanted to explain, but she didn't know what to say. Anyway, she didn't want that man to misunderstand her. "You like him?" Old Demon said again. "No, I am a saintess of the celestial temple. How could I like someone else?" Unexpectedly, the woman said stubbornly, "You don't have to deny it. Perhaps you don't even know who he is, but he has left a deep shadow in your heart." Old Demon obviously saw it more clearly than the woman. Because a woman could give up her life for a man, he really couldn't find any other reason other than liking him. You." The woman opened her mouth and didn't know what to say. In her mind, there was only the figure of that resolute and unyielding man. That figure gave her a feeling that it was very unfamiliar, yet also very familiar. "If you continue like this, you will die." "You," Old Demon said again. However, the woman shook her head and didn't say a word. However, at this moment, a figure suddenly appeared behind her. A strange power appeared in his hand, and then he hit the woman heavily. The woman in white had been fighting for a long time and was seriously injured. She even used the power of God's punishment. Now that she was sneak attacked, she immediately spat out a mouthful of blood like a withered flower. She fainted completely. No one knew whether she was dead or alive. "It's you." "Yes." Old Demon looked at the young man who suddenly appeared and frowned. Obviously, he didn't know why the young man was helping him. "The power of God's punishment has disappeared. Go and chase him quickly. If you're late, that guy will escape." "Yes." The young man smiled and said lightly, "Thanks." Old Demon looked at the young man with fear. Although he didn't know what the young man was doing, he didn't want to get involved. Therefore, he immediately flew away. However, he had a feeling that the saintess of Immortal Temple was dead for sure, because if she fell into the hands of the young man, her fate would be worse than death. After he disappeared, the woman in white was still floating in the sky. Her face was haggard, which made people's heart ache. At this moment, she was like a sleeping beauty. However, because she didn't use the power of God's punishment again, her old age gradually recovered. Behind her, a man quietly stood there and stared at the saintess. It makes people envious. Such a beautiful woman who controls such power. If I could hold her in my hand, how happy would my life be? Unfortunately, she is his woman. The young man first showed a look of appreciation. Then he sighed and looked into the distance. If I didn't help her before, She would have died if she continued to use the power of God's punishment. So, Linling, you should thank me for interrupting her. Because the great devil sect can't be underestimated, I don't want to get involved in this matter. So, I've already helped you. Now it's up to them. Sigh. After laughing, the young man disappeared. As for the woman in white, she quietly floated down to the ground and was still in a deep sleep. At this moment, the huge, ferocious head was shooting into the distance at an extremely fast speed. He was a little anxious, afraid that the kid would escape. He shouldn't be able to escape. He kept comforting himself. However, along the way, he could only see a large number of flying beast corpses. These powerful demonic beasts were all torn apart. Of course, if one looked carefully, one could vaguely see blood on the ground, and it was all flowing in one direction. What a fierce kid. You're just a half-step saint, but you killed so many of my saint realm demonic beasts. This makes me even more unwilling to let you go. The gigantic head cackled, and its speed became even faster. Chapter 32:64. He was saved. In fact, Elder Demon's guess was right. At this moment, Lin Ling was lying on a mountain peak of Heavenly King Mountain. His body was covered with wounds of various sizes. Some of the wounds were bitten by demonic beasts. However, the heads of the demonic beasts had been cut off, leaving only their mouths. Damn it, Lin Ling said weakly. He had finally killed all the demonic beasts along the way, but he was also exhausted. Looking at little Kunlun, it had also withered a lot. Obviously, it had also suffered serious injuries. The realm essence in my 4 great dantians has been completely exhausted. My physical strength has also reached a critical point. If Elder Demon comes, I won't be able to escape. Lin Ling smiled bitterly. He had never thought that he would die here and become Elder Demon's peace demonic beasts. He was very unwilling to accept this. Lin Ling, how are you? However, at this moment, a familiar voice suddenly sounded on the mountain peak. The void was opened and several figures walked out. The first person was Yeshua. Next was Yilin Yun, Majin Tianzi, Li Hong Wang, and the others. These people were from the Godslayer Alliance. Their appearance undoubtedly shocked Lin Ling. He even thought that he was hallucinating because of his injuries. You don't have to be surprised, because we already knew about your news, so at that time, we were already rushing over to save you. Now, don't say anything more. The great devil sex devil elder is rushing over. Leave immediately. Yeshua said to Lin Ling. Yilin Yun quickly carried Lin Ling on his back. Majin Tianzi and the others picked up Lin Ling's sword and entered the void barrier one after another. This guy is fierce. He even went to provoke Elder Demon and killed so many of his peace demonic beasts. He's a real man. Nonsense. If he's not a real man, how can he be qualified to join the Godslayer Alliance? Let's go, let's go. I sensed Elder Demon's aura. That old ghost is very fast. Those people said at the same time. Obviously, they were very surprised. At the same time, a black dot appeared on the mountain peak where Lin Ling was. In the blink of an eye, the black dot reached the mountain peak. Looking at the bloodstains on the mountain peak, the ferocious head was stunned. Then it let out a loud roar. He's escaped. Who's helping him? Find him. We must find him. After the roar, the ferocious head, the head demon, exploded and countless peace demonic beasts flying. They filled the sky. They searched the area. Along the way, they were all peace demonic beasts. However, Lin Ling was nowhere to be seen. This infuriated the elder. He was so close to obtaining the realm-swallowing beast and the dragon bones because the youth was already exhausted. He could have easily captured him alive. However, he had failed at the last step. Demonic beasts, bedemonic yas dragon god Faz. Nit. Demonic beasts could be heard in the sky. In the void, Yeshua and the others were moving forward. Lin Ling's body was very strong. He was taking advantage of the precious time to recover. He finally felt relieved. As for Yeshua and the others, he had some trust in their character. After all, everyone had walked through the Grim Reaper together. How did you know I was here? Lin Ling asked after his physical body had recovered for a moment. Yi Linyun, who was carrying him on his back, smiled and said, "You'll know in a while. However, you were really in danger before because you were targeted by the old demon. Perhaps you were targeted by the great devil sex demon god. If you didn't escape fast enough, the consequences would be unimaginable." As she spoke, Iyeshue opened the enchantment. Everyone appeared in another world. There were many familiar faces here. They were all from the Godslayer Alliance. Huh, the son of demon is here. I knew it. This guy definitely won't die. Right now, the ones who have escaped from the Heavenly Court's pursuit are us. The new Heavenly Court has been born. Our mission is not over yet. People are coming back one after another. However, the son of demon is the most important one. When they saw Lin Ling, they were delighted. After the Godslayer Alliance's plan in Yuzhou, Lin Ling had won the hearts of the Godslayer Alliance. Everyone recognized him and regarded him as the fourth leader of the Godslayer Alliance. It's everyone. Lin Ling was also overjoyed. Then, he began to greet his acquaintances. Indeed, they had gone through trials and tribulations together. Their friendship was made of iron. Even if they were not very familiar with each other, there was a tacit understanding between them. After greeting everyone, Lin Ling wanted to recover immediately. However, Iyeshue had already walked over. She smiled at Lin Ling and said, "It's demonic young master. He saved you." Demonic young master? Lin Ling's expression changed. Then he suddenly thought of something. Could it be that he was the one who stopped the demon elder? We don't know about that. However, the demon elder didn't catch up with you on time. Perhaps demonic young master did something. Majin Tianzi and the others shook their heads. However, at this moment, a smiling voice sounded in everyone's ears. "Don't make me sound so powerful. I'm no match for the demon elder." Among the mountains, a young man in white clothes walked over slowly. He held a flagon of wine in his hand and had a smile on his face. Although his smile seemed friendly and gentle, those who were familiar with him would know that this smile was not to be underestimated. This was because he was the demonic young master of the 9 prefectures' 10 evils. "Demonic young master, you're back." When everyone saw the young man, they stood up and smiled. Lin Ling also smiled. "Son of demon, congratulations on returning alive." Demonic young master looked at Lin Ling and smiled. Then, he threw a flagon of wine to Lin Ling. Lin Ling caught it and took a big gulp. Immediately, he realized that the injuries on his body were recovering faster. Moreover, the realm essence in his dantian was surging. There were signs of a breakthrough. Obviously, this wine was extraordinary. Previously, I was also thinking of ways to delay the demon elder. However, there was an accident. Someone acted before me and stopped the demon elder. So, in reality, you were saved by that person. Demonic young master stopped smiling and looked at Lin Ling seriously. To be able to stop the demon elder, this person's strength is really extraordinary. Lin Ling was shocked. He couldn't figure out who had saved him. "You've seen that person before. In fact, I didn't expect that she would almost sacrifice her life to save you. She's the saintess of the Immortal Temple." Demonic young master said word by word. These words undoubtedly made Lin Ling feel as if he had been struck by lightning. He stood there in a daze. Endless ripples appeared in his sealed memories. Senior Sister Yua. His body trembled with excitement, and his eyes became moist. And Yue didn't forget about him. She wasn't as heartless as he thought. "Then how is she?" Lin Ling asked hurriedly. It seems like there's a bond between the two of you. That's because she was worried about you. After you escaped and learned of her whereabouts, the first thing you worried about was her." Chapter 3265. Kill the Demon Elder. Don't worry, she's still alive. In the end, young Master Yao didn't want to tease Lin Ling anymore. He smiled and said. His words made Lin Ling feel relieved. Next, he recounted the entire process. As Lin Ling listened quietly, she felt an inexplicable pain in her heart. She had never expected that in you, would risk her life to help him. What happened in the end? After understanding the whole story, Lin Ling couldn't help but ask anxiously. That holy maiden is still over there. She should be in a deep sleep. Lin Ling, you should thank me. If I hadn't interrupted her with her current strength, she would have undoubtedly died. Sigh. Young Demon Lord said with a smile. However, just as he finished speaking, a gust of wind rushed over. In the next moment, young Demon Lord's neck was grabbed by Lin Ling. Lin Ling's eyes widened as he roared. You actually left her there? Do you know how dangerous that was? Sigh. This action shocked everyone. No one expected Lin Ling to attack young Master Yao. Son of Demon, calm down. Sigh. Everyone wanted to stop Lin Ling and step forward. However, young Master Yao waved his hand to stop them. He looked coldly at Lin Ling and said, Do you know who she is? She's the holy maiden of the Immortal Temple. Even if she's seriously injured, the demon elder won't dare to touch her. Besides the martial ancestors, no one in the Yin state is a match for her. Therefore, it's safer for her to stay there. Sigh. Moreover, it won't be long before the Immortal Temple finds her. If I bring her here, do you want the Immortal Temple to follow us? Sigh. Hearing those voices, Lin Ling's eyes gradually calmed down. He let go of young Master Yao and said, Sorry, I was a little impulsive before. Sigh. Young Demon Master, have been working with the old monsters left behind from the Age of God since I was a child. Even they don't dare to easily touch me. You're the first one who dares to threaten me. Seeing this, the young Demon Lord also revealed a smile. However, I can also understand your feelings. You and her care for each other and worry for each other. This kind of affection also makes me very moved. However, son of demon, don't treat me, the young Demon Lord, as an idiot. How can I make any mistakes when I do things? I'm sorry. Lin Ling smiled awkwardly and said again, What happened today was my fault. I'll make it up to you some other day. After he finished speaking, he strode away. Son of devil, where are you going? Seeing this, everyone gasped. However, young Master Yao smiled faintly. He knew where Lin Ling was going. Son of the devil, I know you want to find her, but let me tell you, if you go now, I'm afraid she has already been rescued by the people of the Immortal Temple, because the Great Devil Sect is not the only one in the Celestial King Mountain. Moreover, I'm afraid that before you can find her, you will already be found by the Demon Elder, so you don't have to worry about her. Just stay here. Hearing this, Lin Ling stopped and hesitated. Although he really wanted to find Inyuer, the young Demon Lord's words made sense. Seeing Lin Ling stop, the young Demon Lord finally relaxed. Lin Ling looked calm, but when he was impulsive, he did not care about the consequences. Stay here, son of devil, because we need your help. Then, the young Demon Lord said again. Everyone else also looked at Lin Ling with anticipation. Previously, although Lin Ling was extremely rude, it was undeniable that Lin Ling was also a capable person. Help? Lin Ling looked at the young Demon Lord curiously. The young Demon Lord had saved Inyuer, so no matter what, he had to repay this favor. Therefore, he would help the young Demon Lord. Celestial King Mountain, the situation is very deep. People from all the major forces in the 9 states have gathered here. The young Demon Lord asked Lin Ling to sit down. The others also listened quietly to the young Demon Lord's words. The reason for this is because the Great Devil Sect has found the God's treasure. There are many treasures inside. It is said that there are maps of the later levels of the 8 Gods' Celestial Palace, several divine weapons, and a large number of ranked martial arts and God's unique treasures. The young Demon Lord looked at everyone and said. Hearing this, everyone's expression changed. They never thought that the Celestial King Mountain would be hiding such treasures. God treasure? Lin Ling's eyes were cold. Not long ago, the Yin state had gathered the martial artists from all the major sects to fight against the Great Devil Sect. The excuse was for the peace of the Yin state, but in reality, the goal of those upper echelons should be the God's treasure. As for the weak martial artists, they did not even know why they were fighting for their lives. How sad. At the same time, this also showed that the big shots of the Yin state wanted to use the weak martial artists as cannon fodder. Our goal is not those great treasures, but a divine weapon called the Glazed Light War Chariot. This is the famous weapon of the ancient deity, the Glazed Light War Chariot. The War Chariot has the power to kill a martial ancestor. It is very suitable for our God-Slayer alliance. At present, this war chariot is in the hands of the fifth demon elder. As the young demon lord spoke, the corners of his mouth curled into an excited smile. So did the others. The fifth demon elder is the demon elder who chased after the son of a demon. Although the glazed light war chariot is a divine weapon, not many people know that he has it. Only the big shots of the 9 states know about it. However, their goal is more precious treasures, so no one is watching the fifth demon elder. Moreover, if we don't attack, we can't let them know about our origins. Otherwise, the great demon sect will not let us go. We have provoked a great enemy for no reason. Currently, I can track the whereabouts of the old demon. However, this requires the son of the demon to set up a formation to destroy him. After all, the old demon is much stronger than an ordinary martial ancestor. Moreover, several martial ancestors of our god-slaying alliance have fallen under the encirclement of the new heavenly court. At the end of his speech, the young demon lord looked at Lin Ling. If we have enough materials, it shouldn't be difficult to set up a formation. However, it will take a long time to set up a godly ancient boundary formation. Lin Ling shook his head and said, his God-Slayer formation was indeed powerful, but it consumed a lot of treasures and time. This was the weakness of a boundary formation. Majin Tianzi. Hearing Lin Ling's words, the young demon lord immediately looked at Majin Tianzi. Majin Tianzi was also in charge of managing the treasures of the God-Slayer Alliance. Son of the demon lord, take a look and see if these treasures are enough. Majin Tianzi took out a jade slip that recorded a large number of treasures. After Lin Ling received it, he looked at it carefully and then entered into deep thought. After a while, Lin Ling looked at the young demon lord and said, these treasures can be used to set up the Riolon's secret feather drum formation. Although it can't kill the martial ancestor, it can restrain him. After all, the treasures are limited. We can't set up a better boundary formation. How much of his strength will it weaken? The young demon lord was a little nervous. At least 70%, Lin Ling said with a smile. 70%? Haha, that's enough. There are so many of us, and none of us are weak. Facing a martial ancestor with only 70% of his strength, we can definitely kill him. Chapter 3267. Death Game. Senior, please spare my life. Someone cried out in surprise. Haha, spare your life? Hearing this, the old man laughed. Let me tell you, this old devil is in a bad mood, so I'm going to play with you. Right now, let's play a game. Game? Many people's expressions changed drastically. They felt that this game was a game of life and death. Obviously, the old demon was venting his anger on them. I have 10 lots here, and one of them is a death lot. The person who draws it will die. It means that every time a lot is drawn, one person must die, and that person must be tortured to death. Old Demon opened his mouth again with a smile. Although his smile was kind, in the eyes of others, it was like the smile of a devil. I'm not playing. Someone with a strong backbone let out a cold shout. Torture him to death. Old Demon was still smiling. He flicked his finger, and a monster with a human body and a demon head walked out with an evil smile. Those smiles undoubtedly made people's hearts tremble subconsciously. As for that stubborn guy, he looked as if he was facing death calmly and would not compromise in the slightest. However, he was dragged out by those monsters with human bodies and demon heads. His clothes were torn apart, and his whole body was pressed down. One of the monsters with a pig head and human body had a huge, ferocious object under his crotch. Then, it was forcefully stuffed into the man's legs. The man obviously did not expect to be abused like this. He let out the most painful sound of his life. Ha! The ugly pig-headed monster behind him let out a maniacal laugh. No, it hurts. That person couldn't bear it anymore. If he was killed cleanly, he wouldn't even bat an eye. But after being tortured like this, he really couldn't bear it anymore. Kill me. He screamed in pain. Unfortunately, he was caught by other monsters and could not resist at all. Moreover, the monster stopped him from committing suicide so that he could slowly enjoy the last bit of pain in his life. That feeling of being torn apart and humiliated was undoubtedly worse than death. Moreover, blood continued to flow out from his body. In the end, he was tortured to death. Inside the cave, there was complete silence. Everyone shuddered. Not only the women, but even the men were the same. It was said that demons were the most perverted. Not only did they like human beauties, but they also liked handsome human youths. Seeing it today, it was indeed so. Who else would refuse? The old devil said indifferently. Everyone was still silent. Even those with strong moral integrity were gritting their teeth and not daring to say a word. Looks like you guys really like this game. All right, let the game begin. Since this old demon has plenty of time, I'll slowly play with you guys. The old devil revealed a satisfied smile as he lay down and waited for everyone to draw their lots. The 10 of them were immediately caught, and a bamboo tube appeared. Everyone had to draw lots within it. Moreover, this bamboo tube was extremely extraordinary, and it blocked all forms of investigation. Therefore, everyone could only try their luck. A moment later, a bamboo stick appeared in everyone's hands. One of them had a black bamboo stick, which caused the person's expression to change drastically. Hee, you're unlucky. You're the only one who's going to die among these 10. The old devil nodded in satisfaction. At the same time, he waved his hand. Immediately, a monster walked out with an evil smile. After grabbing that person, it started to wreak havoc again. Oh no, it's so painful. That person let out the final cry of pain in his life. Blood dripped from his back, scaring some women to tears. Next round, you, and you. Not bad. I'm talking about you. Try to hide again. The new 10 people walked out, and the 9 people who had luckily escaped from the previous calamity walked back. It's them. Behind the crowd, Lin Ling stared at the 10 people. Surprise appeared on his face because 2 of them were familiar to him. They were Hua Gu and Hua Yilong. These 2 Sage Realm geniuses were usually handsome and elegant. However, at this moment, they were like dead dogs. They cursed inwardly. Their luck was too bad. Previously, they had been quietly hiding. However, the more they hid, the more the old devil stared at them. Therefore, they had no choice but to walk out. Next, they began to draw lots. Moreover, Hua Ji's luck was extremely bad. He had drawn a Black Death lot. At that moment, he was completely dumbfounded. Meanwhile, those monsters stared at him with evil intentions. A human gigolo? Not bad. Junior brother Liu, your lot is death. Quick, I'll change it for you. No need to thank me. However, before those monsters could do anything, Hua Gu had already pounced on one of them. He forced the Black Death lot into that person's hand and snatched that person's lot. That person looked young. At this moment, his eyes were wide open as if he couldn't believe his eyes. Unfortunately, before he could say anything, Hua Gu had sealed his mouth with his realm essence. He stuttered and wanted to break free. However, Hua Gu had already looked at the old devil and said, Senior, you said before that among the 10 people, someone must die. Is that right? That's right. The old devil looked at Hua Gu with great interest. Although you said that someone must die, you didn't say that it must be the person who drew the lot first. Hua Gu said again. Haha. Interesting, very interesting. Answer my question. Who is that young man to you? The old devil laughed and asked curiously. My master's son, Hua Gu said nervously. I'll agree to your request. The old devil immediately nodded. The young man was brought out. At this moment, he was staring at Hua Gu with resentment. A moment later, he let out a painful cry. Before he died, he shouted, Senior brother Hua, you're not human. Shut up. You're just unlucky. Unexpectedly, Hua Gu snorted coldly and replied. Everyone's eyes turned cold. This Hua Gu was so shameless. He actually betrayed his own junior brother. When Hua Gu and the others were about to leave, the old devil said again, The 2 of you stay. The other 8 will be chosen again. Hearing that, Hua Gu and Hua Hu Ichiro's eyes narrowed. They were extremely puzzled. Because I like it. The old devil laughed. Clearly, he was taking pleasure in teasing them. For example, when Hua Gu betrayed his junior brother, The old devil agreed, because he liked to see the scene of internal strife between his junior brothers. It made him feel very happy. You, and you come out. The new 8 people walked out. However, this time, Huagu was lucky. It was Huahu Ichiro who drew the black lot. His expression changed drastically. Without a doubt, he learned from Huagu and betrayed his friend again. Huahu Ichiro, you've got guts. I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. Chapter 3268. Every man for himself, and the devil takes the hindmost. Seeing another person die, the crowd's face turned even paler. Even if they were saints, in front of powerful strength, they were nothing more than ants. Of course, towards Huahu Ichiro and Lugu, the crowd was even more furious. After all, there was only one way out, and it was up to the heavens. However, Huagu and Huahu Ichiro had stepped on the shoulders of others and escaped with their lives. Such an action was sufficient to show that every man for himself would be destroyed by the heavens. Moreover, the ones who were betrayed were their friends. Some of them were even friends who called each other brothers. What a pair of ugly people they are. Behind the crowd, Lin Ling's face was indifferent, but he was also somewhat gloating, because after this incident, those 2 people's reputation would be ruined. After a few more rounds of drawing lots, the old devil seemed to be tired of playing and was finally willing to let go of Huahu, Ichiro, and Lugu. The 2 of them also walked back into the crowd. However, the crowd looked at them with contempt. My strength is stronger than those who died. If we die, then we will have died in vain. Moreover, when we become stronger in the future, we can avenge them. However, they have no hope of becoming stronger, so they must pay the price. Yes, today's grudge, we will remember it. Seeing the crowd's gaze, Huahu Ichiro and Lugu weren't angry. Instead, they whispered with righteousness. Such words undoubtedly made the crowd even angrier. These 2 clearly betrayed others, but they still found such an excuse? New 10 people, let me see who it is. You. And you, I've seen you before. Come out. At this time, the old devil's voice floated out again. The crowd was like a bird startled by the twang of a bow. Looking at where the old devil was pointing, they found that there was actually a little girl. Behind the crowd, Lin Ling's pupils fiercely trembled, because it was Xiao Yu and Di Shi Tian. Sure enough, Xiao Yu and the rest were all captured. This made Lin Ling anxious. I remember now, you guys seem to have some relationship with that hateful brat. But even if you don't have any relationship, you will be played to death today. Bring them up. The old devil's voice floated out again. In the crowd, Xiao Yu's eyes changed dramatically, and so did Di Shi Tian and the rest. They were furious. Lin Ling had bought time for them to escape, but in the end, they were still caught. After all, Elder Mo's demonic beasts were too fast. Perhaps this entire area might be under his control. There's still 2 spots left. Little beauty, it's you. At that moment, the old demon spoke again. He was looking at a devastatingly beautiful woman. She was the dragon mother. At this moment, Longyang's eyes turned cold. She lowered her head and walked out. There's only one person left, so I won't choose a girl. I'll choose a handsome guy, you. It had to be said that the old devil's eyes were very sharp. The people he chose this time were not weak, and were all very talented. Perhaps he was mocking the geniuses of the Yin state. The person chosen this time was none other than Wuxia. Wuxia hid very well in the crowd, but he was too strong. He was like a dazzling firefly, so he was easily targeted. Junior sister, I'll leave it to you this time. However, he did not want to take the risk. Instead, he looked at the woman beside him and said, the woman was quite pretty. She was also a disciple of the Tai Nebulous sect. At this moment, her pretty face changed dramatically. Senior brother, she said in disbelief, don't you like me a lot? This time, you'll help me survive this disaster. After we leave, I'll agree to your request. Wuxia looked at the woman affectionately and said, in fact, I've liked you for a long time. However, a man should prioritize his career, so I don't want to be too emotional. But this time, it's also a test of our love. Senior brother, hearing that, the woman was touched. Wuxia, As the proudest disciple of the Tai patriarch, you're sending a woman to her death. Are you still a man? However, the people around them could not stand it anymore. Coward! Someone cursed. However, Jiang Wuji's expression did not change at all. Instead, he looked at the woman affectionately and said, "You might not die if you go up. You have 10 chances. So, little Yao, I believe that you can survive this disaster. Senior brother, if I come back safely, will you marry me?" It was obvious that the woman really liked Jiang Wuxia. Of course, heaven and earth are my witnesses. Jiang Wuxia patted his chest and said. His words made the woman smile. She was actually a little excited. The people around her were trying to persuade her, but the woman who was immersed in love did not listen to them. Instead, she strode forward. Interesting. Very interesting. This scene made the old demon even more excited. He loved to see the ugliness of human nature. Therefore, this time, he would not let the woman draw the lot. He wanted to see how the favored one would deal with this matter later. The people who came up began to draw lots. A woman was unlucky and drew the lot. Her clothes were forcefully torn apart by a monster with a bull's head, revealing a large area of her snow-white skin. Then, he began to wreak havoc. The cave was filled with the sound of the woman's cries. However, the old demon enjoyed the scene very much. Then, he looked around and said to little Yao with a smile, "Congratulations, you've survived this disaster. Go back." Thank you, thank you." Little Yao was obviously very excited. She ran quickly to Jiang Wuxia, who exhaled softly. Before he could say anything, the old demon spoke first. "Since both of you are in love with each other, then make a double oath for 10 lifetimes. You will be bound together for 10 lifetimes. Also, if you have any other thoughts, one of you will be invaded by the inner demon." Jiang Wujia's expression changed drastically when he heard this. He had heard of the blood oath. It was made with the heart of martial arts. It was used between lovers. If one violated it, the consequences would be unimaginable. However, he wanted to make an oath with little Yao. To be honest, he did not like little Yao at all. For a moment, he hesitated. With his talent and future, the woman who was worthy of him was the most beautiful woman in Yuheng, not an ordinary woman like little Yao. "Brother Wuxia, quickly make the oath." The woman was overjoyed and urged him. However, Jiang Wuxia opened his mouth. Obviously, he could not make the oath. Everyone looked at him with disdain. They already knew what he was thinking. "Brother Wuxia." The woman also noticed Jiang Wuxia's hesitation. Jiang Wuxia sighed. "I'm sorry, little Yao. I don't like you. You're not worthy of me." When he said this, the woman's face turned ashen. "I don't like you. I was just deceiving you before. Of course, you still have a chance." Jiang Wuxia regained his former cold arrogance. "Brother Wuxia." The woman's heart seemed to be shattered at this moment. Was she just a bargaining chip? Was she a bargaining chip that Jiang Wuxia used when he was on the brink of life and death? Were those odes of love just fleeting clouds? Chapter 3269. Snatch the bamboo sticks. Scum. Coward. Trash. Many people couldn't stand it anymore and started to curse. Was this really the #1 sage realm genius of the Great Change nebulous sect that they worshipped? Ugly. However, Jiang Wuxia was still expressionless. He did not care about the crowd's curses. "Haha, interesting. I plan to let the two of you go." The old devil seemed to be having more and more fun, because if he let these two go back, that proud son of heaven would have to face a lot of mockery. He could already imagine those days. After all, he could only kill a saint with his strength. So, it would be better for him to make fun of others for their entire lives. That would be much more satisfying. Next, you guys continue to draw lots. His gaze shifted, and that old devil looked towards Sakura and the rest. At the same time, Lin Ling also became nervous. Sakura, Xiaoyu, Menglu, and Old Do, there were a total of 4 people here. This meant that there was a 40% chance of drawing the life and death lot. If any of them died, this wasn't something that Lin Ling wanted to see. "Young Demon Lord, if you don't make a move, I'll have to," said Lin Ling. He then signaled to Yeshua. Yeshua's expression changed drastically. Obviously, this choice was very dangerous. As for the 10 people who walked out, they were all extremely nervous at this moment. One after another, they began to draw lots. Xiaoyu, Menglu, Oldo, how are you guys? Indra immediately looked at Menglu and the others. They were also extremely nervous. They quietly opened their palms and immediately saw that the bamboo sticks in their palms weren't black. At this moment, all of them revealed excited smiles. Fuck, I actually got the black lot. Suddenly, someone let out a voice of unwillingness, and then a gale swept over Sakura and the others. Next, the bamboo stick in Xiaoyu's little hand disappeared, and a black bamboo stick appeared instead. Obviously, the other party had seen that Xiaoyu was a girl and had swapped the death lot with her. Most importantly, the person who attacked was very fast. No one would have thought that he would actually bully an 8 or 9-year-old girl. As for Xiaoyu, she looked at the bamboo skewer of death in her hand. Her large eyes immediately turned misty, and she nearly cried. However, although she was young, she was extremely sensible. She was afraid that Disher Tion and the rest would be worried, so she had been enduring it. However, Sakura and the rest couldn't hold it in as they angrily looked at the person who attacked. The other party was a tall and slender young man. At this moment, he was playing with the bamboo stick in his hand. Clearly, he had a somewhat complacent look on his face. Most importantly, there was a hint of pride in his complacency. Hee, what's the use of a useless person if he doesn't die? He said calmly. Are you still a man? How dare you steal a child's belongings? Doe Afterimage couldn't help but curse loudly. Moreover, he felt extremely guilty. It was because he was worried about the death black lot that the other party got away with it. You flatter me. However, the young man shrugged indifferently. Instead, he started chatting with the person next to him. It was as if he had just overcome a great calamity, and now he only needed to slowly appreciate the fact that someone was willing to die for him. Behind the crowd, Lin Ling's eyes were wide open as well. An evil fire was rising in his heart. That young man was already determined to be a dead man. Moreover, he had some impression of this person, but he couldn't recall who he was at the moment. He's from the new heavenly court. On the contrary, Yeshua, who was next to him, reminded Lin Ling. He seemed to be the young man who wanted to plunder the Grand Simplicity Nebulous sect during the disciple recruitment. If he didn't remember wrongly, this guy seemed to be called Shi Feilong. Each one is more shameless than the other. The people sighed in their hearts. This game of death had thoroughly revealed the ugliness of human nature. Subsequently, everyone's gaze turned to Xiaoyu. At this moment, Xiaoyu was biting her lips and actually walked out. The monsters with human bodies and demon heads were all extremely excited. Obviously, such a cute porcelain doll made them extremely restless. Don't kill her immediately. I want to play too. This is a little beauty of a human race. When she grows up, she will definitely be a peerless beauty. TSK, TSK. Even I am tempted by her. Those ugly monsters also walked out. Wait. At this moment, Sakura suddenly shouted anxiously. Then, he snatched the death black lot from Xiaoyu's hand. Seeing this, the people were in an uproar. This was because, since the start of the game of death, they had only seen betrayal. This was also the first time that they had sacrificed themselves for others. The death lot is in my hand. If there's anything, just come to me. Sakura raised the death lot and said indifferently, Bastard, Sakura, get out of my way. However, just as he raised the bamboo lot, an arm quickly shot over and snatched the bamboo lot. The bamboo lot is in my hand. Let me do it. The person who made the move was Meng Lu. Next, Doing also made his move to snatch it. These three people actually rushed to their deaths, causing the people to be silent, especially when compared to those who were greedy for life and afraid of death. These people were even uglier. The old demon looked at this scene with ridicule. He touched his chin, making people wonder what he was thinking. The bamboo lot is in my hand. Sakura and the others were still fighting over it. Finally, the old devil opened his mouth. It seems that all of you are willing to die for that little beauty. This kind of selfless action really moves me. However, I suddenly changed my mind. Let's leave the bamboo stick to that little beauty. What? Damn, old man, you're going back on your words. Hearing those words, Sakura and the others were furious. Ha! This is my territory. I make the decisions. The more you want to die for that little beauty, the more I want you to watch her die. I wonder how beautiful that little beauty's painful voice will sound. Who knew that the old demon would laugh even louder? Obviously, he was indeed perverted. He was also playing with human nature. The more people betrayed each other, the happier it made him. And the more they sacrificed themselves for others, the more he wanted to cause trouble. Men slowly play with that little beauty to death. Following that, he waved his hand, and immediately, there were ugly pig-head men and Taurens who walked over with a smile. Fight! Do-Ing and the others roared as they burst out with powerful strength. I've long been on guard against you. The old demon didn't look surprised as he waved his hand and feathers shot out. It actually formed a feather prison around Sakura and the others. No matter how they attacked, the prison wouldn't break. Don't spoil my mood. Right now, you guys should just obediently enjoy that scene. Not only did the old demon not kill Sakura and the others, he wanted them to watch Xiaoyu being destroyed with their own eyes. Little beauty, I will treat you well. That pig-head man had already walked out, holding Xiaoyu's hand. Xiaoyu's entire body trembled as she looked at Sakura and the others with teary eyes, but she didn't say a word. Perhaps she also knew that if she resisted, then Big Brother Sakura and the others would die. Chapter 3270. Lin Ling made his move. What a pity, what a beast. Of course, they were also glaring angrily at Shi Feilong. They did not understand why the other party was so heartless. Interesting. At such a young age, it must be very painful. However, not only did Shi Feilong not feel guilty, he even rubbed his chin and revealed an expression of admiration. This caused everyone to grit their teeth. If they were powerful enough, they would definitely kill this despicable person. Whoosh. However, right when the pig-headed man was about to make a move, a sword came from afar. It carried the fury of a fiend god, and it actually chopped off the pig-headed man's head. Moreover, blood sprayed out from where the pig-headed man's neck was cut off. The blood stained Xiaoyu's clothes. Whoosh. However, this was not the end. Another sword slashed out, and the vicious thing between the pig-headed man's legs was cut in half. Then, the crowd was separated. A man wearing a large cloak, holding a sword diagonally, arrived like the god of death. This infuriated the monsters in the surroundings. You're courting death. His angry voice erupted like a volcano. No one would have thought that someone would dare to make a move in Elder Mo's lair. Moreover, if that person continued to hide, then he would be fine. But if he made a move now, then he would undoubtedly be walking towards death. Bang! A monster with a dragon's head and a human's body took a step forward and pounced at the newcomer. In midair, a terrifying power transformed into a palm that viciously slammed towards the newcomer. This was the power of 1,000 worlds. Under his full strength, the entire cave seemed like it was about to collapse. Boom! However, the newcomer also threw out a punch. The fist and palm collided, and an intense rumbling sound erupted. Then, under countless gazes, the dragon-headed man was directly smashed into pieces with a single punch. This punch was undoubtedly as shocking as a celestial being. That was because Old Mo's subordinates were extremely powerful. However, when they met force with force, the one that died was the monster. Kill him. More monsters roared and pounced on the newcomers. However, the newcomer was not afraid in the slightest. He went all out, brandishing his great sword to meet the incoming enemy. The huge cold saber came slashing down and was cut in half by the sword. Both the man and the saber were killed in a single strike. A fist came crashing down, and with a slash of the sword, both the man and the fist were chopped into pieces. The short path from the crowd to the front had been forcibly opened up by the intruder, and the cloak of the intruder had also turned blood red. This time, everyone was shocked. This person wanted to thoroughly enrage the demon elder. However, the scene that everyone imagined did not happen. On the contrary, The old devil sneered, as if he was surprised by the arrogance of the newcomer. Of course, he was also thoroughly enraged by the newcomer. Originally, all of you didn't have to die, but this person didn't follow the rules and ruined the game. So all of you have to die now. The old devil spoke indifferently, but his words caused everyone's expression to change dramatically. Some selfish people even glared angrily at the newcomer because this person had caused them a lot of trouble. Of course, you still have a chance. For example, kill him. The old devil stretched out his finger and pointed at the newcomer. Obviously, in his heart, this person who was courting death was definitely going to die. However, it would be difficult for him to vent the hatred in his heart by killing him just like that. Damn pervert! Were you abused when you were young? Or is your but's chrysanthemum damaged? Is that why you can come up with such a perverted game? Hearing the old devil's words, the newcomer cursed angrily. The old devil's face was filled with anger when he heard this. Today, he had captured so many people, and everyone who saw him was like a dog. They were extremely humble, and this person was the first one who dared to scold him. What? Can't say anything? You're indeed a pervert. You're neither a human nor a ghost. You can only crossbreed with wild beasts and make yourself look like an old hen. Unexpectedly, the newcomer cursed even more viciously. Splice? Could it be that the thing that symbolizes a man on your body is also a splice? You're courting death. The old devil's hair stood on end, and his body trembled with anger. I know that you want to kill me, but you're not willing to die just like that. So you want to torture me slowly. Come on. If you don't come, then you're an old hen. Come on. However, the newcomer's arrogance was almost earth-shattering. He cursed a martial ancestor and arrogantly walked toward Xiaoyu. Bang! The old devil slapped the chair and almost attacked. However, he restrained himself in the end. What a foul mouth. However, I won't fall for your trick. He pointed at the newcomer and sneered. Then, he looked at the crowd and said, If you want to live, you only have one chance. Capture him. Bastard, why don't you surrender? Curses immediately came from the crowd. Someone stared coldly at the newcomer. It was an expert at the initial stage of the sage stage. Is he your father? What a nest of snakes and rats. Seeing this, the person turned around and immediately looked over. Then he smiled mockingly. His words undoubtedly made many people laugh secretly. As for the person who was trying to claim credit, his face turned red with anger. He did not say anything else and pounced toward the newcomer. He planned to subdue the newcomer and make the old devil happy so that he could finally leave this nest. I don't care who you are. Today, I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of your master. You're too lacking in discipline. This person had a 6th grade desolate body, and his cultivation was at the 2nd heaven of the sage stage. He did not show any mercy when he attacked. Sensing this, the newcomer sneered under the brim of his hat. He unleashed his full strength and slashed out with a terrifying sword. This sword contained the fusion of the 4 dantians. In addition to his physical strength, it also contained 60% of the demon sword rank. Whoosh! The person who attacked wanted to subdue the newcomer with a single move. However, when he got closer, he realized how terrifying the newcomer was. With a single slash, his arm was cut off. Sir, you're so powerful. I won't participate in today's matter. The person finally realized a terrifying problem. He might not be a match for the newcomer. If he continued to fight, he would die. You want to leave after coming here? Unfortunately, the cloaked man sneered. He waved his left hand, and a 5-meter-long giant bow appeared. The dragon bow shot out. Boom! The person retreated. However, how could he block the arrow? His body exploded in midair. An expert at the sage stage died. Moreover, it was only 2 moves. Who is this guy? He's so powerful. Wow! Many people's faces changed. The person who attacked was the sect leader of a small sect. Although his talent was not as good as the geniuses of the Yin state, he had cultivated for a long time, and his strength was not to be underestimated. However, he was still dead. Most importantly, they had never seen the newcomer's skills before. If they had, it would be Sakura and the others. They were all excited. Moreover, the old devil frowned. The dragon bow was very familiar. It had once appeared on the body of a kid who had made him furious for 3 days and 3 nights. Could it be that the mysterious cloaked man was that kid? He could not help but be stunned. According to logic, that kid should have escaped from Heavenly King Mountain. Chapter 3271. The combination of purity and evil. Capture him. If you want to live, then attack. Next, the old devil continued. At this moment, he was no longer in a hurry. In his lair, if the cloaked man was that brat, then he wouldn't be able to escape. There's only one chance. If you miss it, it won't come again. The old devil's voice was bewitching. Everyone started to get restless. Catch him and we'll live? This is the best opportunity. Although that kid is a bit powerful, most of us are in the Sage Realm. He can't stop so many Sage Realm experts by himself. Every man for himself, and the devil takes the hindmost. Many people licked their lips and no longer hesitated, pouncing towards the cloaked man. A person must have principles. We belong to the same boat. How can we have internal strife? That would only satisfy that old devil's perverted heart. I won't make a move. That's right. I've seen too many ugly scenes before. I don't want to be that ugly person. In that case, why don't we help him? After all, even if we don't make a move, we'll still die. That's why we have to die with a bang, so that we won't have lived in vain. Those who had a strong backbone did not intend to attack the newcomer. Instead, they intended to help the newcomer. For a moment, because of the sudden appearance of the newcomer, the people who were caught were divided into 2 camps. At this moment, someone had already pounced on the mysterious man. However, the cloaked man only smiled coldly and turned to look at Xiaoyu, who was not far away. Brother, Xiaoyu naturally recognized the person who had come. At this moment, she was very excited and ran towards the cloaked man. Xiaoyu, don't come over. Big brother is dirty. However, the cloaked man refused with a smile, because he had the blood of monsters and humans on him. Even his cloak was dyed red. No, unfortunately, Xiaoyu was extremely stubborn. Not only did she rush over, she even hugged the cloaked man's leg. She did not feel that the cloaked man was dirty at all. At this moment, her impression of her brother had completely changed. When she first met Lin Ling, she thought that Lin Ling was an extremely kind person who stood aloof from worldly affairs. After that, Lin Ling went on a killing spree in the city, causing her to have misgivings. She felt that Lin Ling was different from what she had imagined. But now, she finally understood. Lin Ling's killing was open and above board. He raised the butcher's knife for his family and friends. Just like what Xianxia had said before, Lin Ling was their flag, blocking the wind and rain. Be it demons or killing, the people around Lin Ling would always be the most peaceful and safe. Xiaoyu, big brother, big brother. Lin Ling smiled and pushed Xiaoyu away. He looked at the people who were charging at him, and the coldness in his eyes intensified. Every man for himself, to Lin, to next fantasy Lin, you Lin, to Lin, to Lin, Lin, Lin. However, sacrificing the innocent Xiaoyu so that he could escape death, Lin Ling disdained such a person. Lin Ling went all out. The realm-swallowing beast appeared, the dragon bones appeared, and the catastrophe-destroying sun bow appeared. Xiao, B. I'm sorry, it's not that I'm looking down on you, but each and every one of you here will be a dead soul under my bow. The dragon bow appeared once again. The heavenly dragon protector shrouded Lin Ling in holy light. Boasting shamelessly, those experts, Xiaoyu, shouted coldly. It was as if in their eyes, Lin Ling was the one who went against the heavens. They were enforcing justice on behalf of the heavens. The shamelessness of such righteous words undoubtedly made people feel extremely disgusted. Xianxia and the rest were roaring. Unfortunately, they couldn't break the cage for the time being and could only be secretly anxious. Almost at the same time, the dragon bow shot out, for dragons intertwined with each other. At this moment, the old devil's eyes finally lit up. He was 100% sure that the cloaked man was that damn brat, but he also shook his head in surprise. He couldn't understand why that brat wanted to enter the tiger's den. Suddenly, his gaze fell on Xiaoyu, and he immediately understood. What a fearless brat. He admired Lin Ling even more, but he also wanted to kill Lin Ling even more. Because if a junior like Lin Ling was allowed to grow up, his future would be limitless. The dragon god bow with 4 intertwined arrows roared out. Suddenly, blood flowed like a river. Those sages didn't expect Lin Ling's bow to be so terrifying. Dozens of experts were killed by that arrow. What a fierce attack! The eyes of those who were neutral trembled violently as they looked at Lin Ling in shock. In their eyes, Lin Ling was like a bow, like an arrow, charging forward bravely without fear of any power. Who is this guy? He's obviously a half-step sage. How could he kill a sage with his full strength? Huagu, Huahu, Ichiro, and the rest were afraid of death, so they didn't attack. Why does he give me a familiar feeling? Jiang Wuxia furrowed his brows and was extremely unhappy. Generally speaking, he should be the main character of such a stunning scene where one person challenged the great devil sect. But now, this glory had been snatched away by that mysterious person. Go to hell. However, in order to survive, someone still sneaked up on Lin Ling. The ground cracked, and a figure appeared like a ghost. He stabbed at Lin Ling with his sword. Lin Ling didn't react in time and was immediately stabbed in the chest. Moreover, the power of the sword was extremely terrifying. It was poison. The fierce poison rushed into Lin Ling's body, causing Lin Ling to spit out a big mouthful of blood. "Brother," Xiaoyu shouted worriedly. However, Lin Ling stopped her from approaching and looked coldly at the person who had sneaked up on him. "Hee, you dare to provoke the Demon Elder? You're too impudent." Ironically, in order to survive, that person had regarded himself as a member of the Great Devil Sect. Go to hell. Lin Ling's eyes were red. With a roar, the darkness behind him surged like a tide. A huge mouth appeared and suddenly swallowed the person. This sudden change undoubtedly made the person unable to react. When he came back to his senses, he could only see that the cloaked man in front of him had disappeared and turned into a big pool of terrifying black sludge. The realm-swallowing beast. He let out the last sound of his life before he was swallowed alive. He had never thought that this half-saint junior was actually the realm-swallowing beast. Of course, it was not only him. At this moment, everyone was shocked. Could the cloaked man be the human form of the realm-swallowing beast? Without a doubt, today's events had greatly exceeded their knowledge. Swoosh! Swoosh! However, at this time, the neutral warriors around the realm-swallowing beast also rushed over. "Young hero will help you. Since we're going to die anyway, we might as well die with a bang. Young hero, we'll fight the Demon Elder with you." These people exploded with powerful strength and guarded around the realm-swallowing beast. From afar, this scene was extremely spectacular because the realm-swallowing beast represented evil. However, at this moment, people were guarding around the realm-swallowing beast. Chapter 3272. The demon-slaying plan had begun. Bang! At the same time, the Demon Elder finally decided to make his move because he was sure that this was the person he was looking for. Furthermore, he was extremely happy because he had regained everything he had lost. "Brat, you shouldn't have come. You really shouldn't have come." Old Devil floated up and his body exploded, turning into a huge human head. The surrounding monsters all exploded as well. After being torn apart, they all flew towards the huge human head, forming a strange monster. For some people, this was the first time they saw Old Demon's real body. At this moment, they were so scared that they fell to the ground. However, the warriors around the realm-swallowing beast were not afraid of death. They all raised their weapons. "Old Demon, I'll kill you and return peace to the Yin state." They roared and shouted in unison. Obviously, they hadn't forgotten their sect's orders to eradicate the Great Devil Sect. It had to be said that they had been kept in the dark by the upper echelons of the Yin state, but they still guarded the Yin state like soldiers of death. This mentality was very admirable. Why did a martial artist practice martial arts? Some did it for the sense of superiority, some pursued the pinnacle of martial arts, and some did it for the sake of soaring through the heavens and earth. But there were also people who did it for protection. A bunch of ants died. As for the ferocious human head that was floating in the air, it opened its huge mouth and countless feathers shot out. They filled the sky and were extremely sharp. If one were to say that Lin Ling's devil sword represented the rank of devil sword, then each of those dazzling feathers represented a sword. This was old demon strength. These swords are not something that those people could block at all. Fight. However, not only did those people not retreat, they charged forward instead. But this time, the rolling black mud wriggled and turned into a huge black cloud, blocking the rise of those people. A huge mouth opened and swallowed those sharp feathers. Lin Ling knew very well that these people would not be able to withstand old demon's attacks. Plus, he had transformed into a world-swallowing beast and possessed the immortal body of a world-swallowing beast. His defense was strong. Why? Those people were all excited as they looked at the world-swallowing beast, which symbolized evil. Not worth it, Lin Ling said in a cold voice. His words made those people tremble. You are all true warriors. You don't deserve to die here. They should be the ones to die, Lin Ling said again. Moreover, he was referring to those shameless people, as well as those who watched with folded arms. Old devil. He likes to play with people for fun. Unfortunately, those sad people know that, but they still like to be played by others. Funny sad. Most importantly, there are geniuses from the Yin state and elites from other sections. Haha, the Yin state is declining. Jiang Wuxia and the others' faces darkened when they heard the humongous mud's mocking voice. That mysterious man was scolding them and looking down on them. Coward. The sludge spoke again, as if it was mocking the world. That's right, coward. Under the mud, those martial artists also laughed boldly. They had the qualifications to laugh at those cowardly and shameless people. Bastard. Jiang Wuxia, Huagu, and the others clenched their teeth and looked at Elder Demon in the sky. Most of the brave ones are dead. Those who can't see the reality won't go far on the path of martial arts. Is this your excuse for being cowardly and treacherous? Very good. Your hypocrisy disgusts me. However, you don't understand. You will never understand. Let's see who can go further on the path of martial arts. Lin Ling also spoke in a challenging voice. Those people, they were cowardly. They thought they could go further on the path of martial arts. Lin Ling was brave. He dared to challenge the gods, but he thought he could go further on the path of martial arts. They took a gamble. Haha, I have to admit that they are more right. Because you are going to die. At this moment, Old Demon let out an angry roar. His head became huge and kept expanding. Gradually, it became even bigger than the world-swallowing beast. A giant mouth appeared. It was as if it was going to swallow the sky and the earth. This mouth undoubtedly made everyone's faces change dramatically. It was so scary. They were afraid it could even swallow Jiuzhou. Elder Demon was obviously going to swallow the realm-swallowing beast. Die. The giant mouth rushed toward the realm-swallowing beast. At this moment, Lin Ling felt that his whole body was locked. He could not move. Elder Demon's power was terrifying. Dang, dang, dang. When the giant mouth got close to Lin Ling, it immediately made a sound of metal colliding. It was a wizardry barrier. Obviously, Yi Shui had made a move. However, it was useless. She could only anxiously shout, "Son of Demon!" When people heard that, their pupils trembled. That was the Son of Demon? Especially those who were protected by Lin Ling. They were all excited. It turned out that this was the Son of Demon, who was famous throughout Jiuzhou. What's the use? He will still die. Jiang Wuxia and the others' eyes were full of flames of jealousy. At this moment, they were on the same side as Elder Demon. They wanted the Son of Demon to be swallowed. I've been waiting for this moment for a long time. Use the roaring sky swallowing technique. It can swallow anything, but it has a weakness. It is the back. However, at this moment, something strange happened. Suddenly, a large number of figures floated out of the cave. The leader had a bull horn on his forehead. His whole body was evil. Attack! The young man waved his hand. Rumble! Those powerhouses who suddenly appeared all unleashed their powerful strength and attacked the back of Elder Demon's head. Upon closer inspection, although Elder Demon's head was very big, one side of his head had a big mouth, which was an angry face. However, on the other side, there was a smiling face. It was extremely strange. However, after everyone attacked, the smiling face screamed, "Young Master Yao, you're crazy." Obviously, Elder Demon recognized young Master Yao. Most importantly, he did not understand why young Master Yao attacked him. Haha, Elder Demon, you're going to die today. Young Master Yao's body also became strange. All kinds of demonic beast parts appeared as he attacked the giant head crazily. Rumble. Elder Demon's hideous head seemed to deflate at this moment and finally began to shrink. All of you must die. You've ruined my plan. Obviously, there was a flaw in the swallowing heaven and earth divine power that he had used. If he failed to use it, his cultivation would be greatly reduced. Son of Demon, retreat. Leave now. At this moment, young Master Yao's face was extremely serious as he shot toward the ground. Lin Ling had also transformed into his human form, but his body was full of injuries. He wanted to take Xiaoyu away, but young Master Yao stopped him. Without waiting for him to say anything, young Master Yao forcefully took him away. Right now, Elder Demon is enraged. His target is you. The plan begins. Young Master Yao said in Lin Ling's ear. Lin Ling also nodded heavily. They were all rushing in the direction of the array formation. As for Elder Demon, he was hysterical at this moment. Without any hesitation, he chased after them. In his heart, those people must die. Since young Master Yao dared to sneak attack him, young Master Yao must die too. Chapter 3273. A Clash of Courage. Boom! The entire cave exploded under his impact. Gravel rained down and gradually revealed the gloomy sky. A battle to kill demons had begun. Godslayer Alliance. Everyone raised their heads to look at the sky. The depths of their eyes were filled with intense shock. Everyone in Jiuzhou knew about the Godslayer Alliance. It was said that it was a gathering place for a group of hot-blooded youths. They had repeatedly done great things in Jiuzhou and had once killed a deity. In fact, many people wanted to join the Godslayer Alliance. Unfortunately, the conditions to join the Godslayer Alliance were too high. Many people could only look up to it. Godslayer Alliance. Huagu, Huahu Ichiro, and Jiang Wuxia had complicated expressions. Obviously, they were very curious about the legendary Godslayer Alliance, and even wanted to join this miraculous alliance. After all, although they were only famous in Yen State. How could they compare to the Godslayer Alliance? Could it be that the Godslayer Alliance wants to kill the Demon Elder? Even more people cried out in shock. Today, after so many twists and turns, no one had expected that the great demon sect's fifth Demon Elder would be targeted by the Godslayer Alliance. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Under everyone's gazes, more than a dozen figures passed through the sky like dazzling stars. Behind these people were huge heads. These figures were unquestionably what they had to look up to. Son of Demon, how much have you recovered? Young Beastmaster was running wildly with Lin Ling. He could see that Lin Ling had suffered serious injuries this time. I'm fine now. Lin Ling had been seriously injured twice in a row on Mount Tianwan. Both times it was because of the fifth Demon Elder. This made him realize that he still had a long way to go before he could reach the peak of Jiuzhou. However, his physical body was very strong. After a while, he had recovered a lot. Therefore, he burst out with great speed and ran side by side with young Beastmaster. The Demon Elder's strength is not to be underestimated. Therefore, we have been looking for an opportunity. Who knew that you would suddenly appear and fight the Demon Elder, which disrupted some of our plans? Young Beastmaster said at the same time. Hearing this, Lin Ling smiled bitterly. At that time, I couldn't watch my friends die, so I had to stand up. Don't worry. Our goal was to enrage the Demon Elder, and we've done it. Son of the Demon, hurry up. Don't let the cat out of the bag. Young Demon Lord chuckled. When he turned around to look at the giant head behind him, his expression turned serious. Noticing this, Lin Ling's eyes flashed, and he suddenly shouted behind him, "Flat-feathered crow, drenched chicken, come, come and kill me." After a period of contact, Lin Ling knew that this old demon couldn't stand being scolded, so he scolded him repeatedly. Seeing this, young Master Yao narrowed his eyes. He had no idea what Lin Ling was doing. However, in the distance, the ferocious human head became furious. Feathers flew up one by one, making it look even more terrifying, because this was the third time the demon elder had been scolded. "Little bastard, I'm going to tear your mouth off." The demon elder roared and chased after them. Seeing this, young Master Yao's eyes lit up. It seemed to be effective. He hurriedly scolded him. "Young Master Yao, I don't know why you've offended me, but you'll regret it. Even if the ancient demons are here today, I'll catch you. Come, old duck." The two parties, one in front and one behind, headed toward the place where Lin Ling had set up the array. After a while, Lin Ling and the demon elder landed. They both let out a sigh of relief. They had finally arrived at their destination. Bang! 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 The other members of the Godslayer Alliance also arrived one by one. They landed on the ground and looked up at the sky. The entire mountain range became silent. "You guys stop running." Almost at the same time, a giant head appeared in the sky. It was ferocious and terrifying. Its eyes were bloodshot as it looked down at the people on the ground. However, he didn't land on the mountain range. Obviously, Lin Ling and the others had stopped running. This made the demon elder a little wary. His intuition told him that something was hiding nearby. "Young Master Yao, why have you offended me?" The giant head seemed to be suppressing its anger as it looked at young Master Yao coldly. Young Master Yao smiled faintly. He took out a flagon of wine and drank it calmly. He pointed at Lin Ling beside him and said, "Because of him, the son of the demon." At this moment, the demon elder already knew about Lin Ling's background. He didn't expect this hateful brat to be a famous figure in the 9 states. The unity of the Godslayer Alliance was also beyond his imagination. For the son of the demon, the Godslayer Alliance dared to challenge the great demon sect. "Cut the crap. Do you dare to fight me?" While the demon elder was thinking, a cold voice suddenly sounded. It was filled with billowing battle intent. "The great demon sect's 5th demon elder is perverted and ruthless. Today, I will enforce justice on behalf of the heavens. Do you dare to fight me?" On the ground, Lin Ling had already pulled out his sword and pointed it at the giant head in the sky. Beside him, Majin Tianzi and the others were shocked. They didn't expect Lin Ling to challenge the demon elder. However, the demon elder was cautious and didn't say anything. Everything was different from what he had imagined. Also, he was a martial ancestor. Some sages shouldn't dare to confront him directly. "Do you dare to fight me? If you don't, then get lost. I, the son of the demon sect, tell you, if you dare to come down, you will die today." However, Lin Ling spoke again. His words made the young Master Yao and the others' expressions change drastically. Was Lin Ling telling the demon elder that there was danger hidden under the ground? What if the demon elder sensed something and left? Then, all their previous efforts would be in vain. For a moment, everyone was shocked, but they didn't dare to speak. Only Lin Ling looked at the demon elder fearlessly. "Do you dare to fight me? Do you dare?" This was a blatant provocation. He knew that the demon elder had sensed something. The more he tried to hide it, the worse it would be. He might as well get straight to the point. Let's see if the demon elder dared to fight him. "Brat, what have you done here?" Elder Demon's huge head was frozen in place, and his eyes were flashing with light. The two sides seemed to be facing each other casually, but in fact, they had begun to fight. This was also a battle of courage. "We didn't do anything. You can think that we are at the end of the road, so we're using some tricks to scare you away. So, do you dare to fight me or not?" At this time, Lin Ling spoke again. After he finished speaking, the demon elder's eyes flickered again, because it wasn't impossible. "I have the realm-swallowing beast and the dragon bone of the dragon clan. If you don't kill me today, it will be very difficult for you to find me in the future. Because you should know that if I, the son of the demon sect, want to hide, even a god can't find me." Besides, if you don't kill me today, with my potential, I will surpass you soon. By then, you should know what the result will be. Chapter 3274. So what if he killed an immortal and a demon? Especially the last sentence. It actually caused his eyes to turn red. That's right. The demonic son's potential is terrifying. He will become a martial ancestor in the future. When that time comes, I will die for sure. Such a scourge cannot be allowed to live. Why are you telling me this? The elder demon stared at Lin Ling and asked, Because I want to use my future to make a bet with you. Let's see who will live and who will die. Lin Ling said calmly. Although his words were calm, the young beast lord and the others could feel his domineering aura. A bet. If Lin Ling loses, his future will be destroyed, and he will become the elder demon's beast. Only Lin Ling knew the effects of Lin Ling's array. No one knew if it could defeat the elder demon. Perhaps even Lin Ling wasn't 100% confident in himself. A bet. The elder demon pondered over Lin Ling's words and fell into deep thought. He didn't expect himself to be so hesitant against a martial ancestor of the sage realm. More importantly, the person he was betting against was only a half-sage. If this happened in the 9 continents, nobody would believe it. They would think it was a joke. If someone else was here, they would have accepted the bet without hesitation. However, the elder demon became cautious. Coward. Seeing this, Lin Ling faintly grinned. Looking confident, he turned around and left. Elder demon panicked when he saw a half-saint realm junior leave right in front of him. After all, Lin Ling was the material that he had high hopes for. He pondered for a while and finally decided to accept the bet. Although he believed there were dangers hidden underground, he didn't believe these dangers could affect him. Son of the demon, I will fight you. I will take your life. The elder demon threw caution to the wind. Or perhaps, Lin Ling's words made him hesitate for too long. In the end, his mind was in a mess. Therefore, he made his move based on logic. The logic behind this was that no matter how strong a half-saint was, they would never be a match for the martial ancestor. The earth suddenly turned pitch black. The gigantic human head began to swell. A black hole-like mouth appeared, wanting to swallow the heavens and devour the earth. A terrifying aura also arrived like a violent storm. Seeing this, the expressions of Yi Shui and the others changed drastically. Although they were members of the Godslayer Alliance and didn't fear the heavens or the earth, they were still a little worried about facing a powerhouse of the 9 states' 10 evils head-on. However, they also looked at Lin Ling. They found that Lin Ling was still carrying the demon elder on his back, but he had stopped walking. His blood-stained cloak was fluttering in the wind, as if he was a warrior who had killed his way through a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. That's right, a warrior filled with courage. He did not retreat, nor did he show any reverence or fear. This made Yi Yeshue and the others calm down, and they all revealed fearless expressions. In their eyes, the gigantic mouth was getting closer and closer. The mouth was filled with ferocious and terrifying demonic beasts. At this moment, they were making ear-piercing sounds as if they were going to rush out of the mouth and devour everyone. Everyone's life and death depended on this moment. However, at this moment, Lin Ling finally turned around. His deep eyes were still calm. With his hands behind his back, he spoke calmly. In the past, we killed the deities. Today, so what if we kill the demons? As his voice drifted out, he gently lifted his foot and then stomped heavily on the ground. This action was the same as the god-slaying array in the past. Young Beastmaster and the others narrowed their eyes and revealed excited smiles. Boom! As if something had been broken, the restriction was triggered. Suddenly, countless blazing suns rose from the surrounding mountains. They were dazzling and bright. At a closer look, those weren't blazing suns, but giant drums that looked like suns. The moment the giant drums rose, an ancient aura spread out. The giant drums connected and intertwined with each other, forming a giant net of light. This net of light sealed the sky, making the entire ancient mountain look like a ferocious array. What? At this moment, Elder Demon's expression changed drastically. Although he knew that Lin Ling had hidden some tricks up his sleeve, he didn't expect them to be so extraordinary. Even he, the Elder Demon of a 9 states 10 evils, could not see through them. So what if we kill the deities and demons? Elder Demon muttered to himself as uneasiness rose in his heart. Dong! At the same time, a deafening sound was heard. The countless light drums in the surroundings let out a deafening sound, as if war horses were galloping and the drums were beating. Rumble. A terrifying thing happened. When the drum beats hit the demon elder, his huge head immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. His mouth also spat out a large number of demonic beasts. However, after being hit by the drum beats, the demonic beasts let out painful cries and directly fell to the ground. What is this? Old Demon let out an earth-shattering roar. His head seemed to deflate as it became smaller and smaller. Eventually, he turned into an old man. He felt that the drums seemed to have a magical power that kept sealing his martial ancestors' power. Looking at young Beast Lord and the others, they were shocked and trembling with excitement. The might of Lin Ling's ancient spirit formation was truly too frightening. It made the crowd very curious as to where he had learned the ancient spirit formation Tao. Most importantly, they felt that the drums did not seem to have any effect on them. Elder Demon, you've lost the bet. I know what you were thinking. You thought that we were only in the Sage-to-Be realm. Even if we had hidden some trump cards, that's all there is to it. After all, you're from the great demonic sect, a demonic god sect that once clashed with the deities. However, you've underestimated us. Today, you should know what the God-Slayer Alliance is. At this moment, Lin Ling had his hands behind his back, and his eyes were cold. You killed people for fun, mocked human nature, and dug out the ugly side of people. Today, your retribution has come. Lin Ling looked at young Beast Lord and the others and waved his hand. Attack! His eyes were extremely cold as he thought of Xiaoyu, Sakura, and the others. In fact, although Elder Demon was from the great demonic sect, Lin Ling was not a person who stuck to the rules. He did not think that a demon was necessarily a bad person. However, Elder Demon's way of doing things had obviously touched Lin Ling's bottom line. His strength has been suppressed by 70%. Let's work together to kill him. Lin Ling shouted angrily again. Bang! 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 Young Beast Lord and the others had vaguely guessed that there was a time limit to the array. Therefore, they all seized the opportunity to explode with powerful martial arts. Their strength was not weak. Under their all-out attacks, Elder Demon roared again and again. At this moment, Elder Demon became even more ferocious. His white hair scattered messily, and there was only a hysterical expression on his face. So what if I've killed a deity and killed a demon? Chapter 3275. Kill the Elder Demon. At this moment, he knew that he had been tricked, and there was no way out. He had never expected that he was invincible in the area of Heavenly King Mountain. He was only afraid of the big shots of Yen State. However, in the end, he was besieged by a group of juniors in the Saint Realm. It felt like an elephant was being bitten to death by countless ants. Even if I die, I want you to die with me. The Elder Demon roared at the sky. During this process, his arm was forcibly broken by Prince of Gold. However, he was worthy of being called a hero of the Demon Gate, and he didn't frown at all. He resisted with his hair disheveled. Prince of Gold was hit by his attack, and the lower half of his body was destroyed. However, he was a puppet, so he was only injured and wouldn't die. Be careful, everyone. Although 70% of this old demon's strength has been suppressed, we can't underestimate him if he goes all out. Prince of Gold couldn't help but remind them loudly. Young Beast Lord and the others all nodded. They didn't get close to the Elder Demon, and instead used their powerful martial arts from a distance. This was especially true for the young Demon Lord. He had transformed into a gigantic demon man, and there were dragons, eagles, and snakes all over his body. It was as if he had the body of a myriad of demons. There were even huge bull horns on his forehead. With just a wave of his hand, even a late-stage Saint Realm expert would not be able to block his attacks. The elder demon's injuries were even more severe. His body was covered in blood. He wanted to escape, but the light net in the sky had sealed everything. Finally, his eyes turned red. He muttered something, and his head grew bigger again. Unlike before, it was a giant head before, but this time it had a human body. However, from a distance, it looked extremely uncoordinated, like a big-headed doll. At the same time, billowing demonic energy spread out from his body. Everyone, use your full strength. This old demon is going to self-destruct. Seeing this, young Beast Lord's expression changed. He slapped his giant palm, and the roar of an ox god landed heavily on the elder demon's body. However, the sound of metal colliding was heard. This change undoubtedly made everyone panic, and they attacked even more crazily. Ha ha, you're all going to die. Die. The big-headed elder demon roared at the sky, as if he was preparing something. Finally, his head became as big as a mountain, and was supported by a thin and weak body. It was terrifying no matter how one looked at it. At the same time, a terrifying power spread out from his body. If this power exploded, a corner of Heavenly King Mountain would be turned into ashes. Die! Die! But at this moment, a cold shout sounded, and a sword shot over. Lin Ling was an elder demon. The tyrant Song's sword turned into a bloody light, as if the era of the gods had arrived. At this moment, the pitch-black cloak was also dazzling. Elder Demon was obviously preparing his strongest attack, so his head was directly pierced by the sword. Whoosh! A large amount of black blood gushing out. Big brother! Lin Ling roared, drew his sword, and slashed down. Whoosh! A long slash could be seen on Elder Demon's head. However, as expected of a martial progenitor realm expert, even with his strength being suppressed, Lin Ling's slash still failed to kill him. Was. This sword is for old Du. Lin Ling kept waving his sword, making Elder Demon's head bleed. This sword is for Xiaoyu. In the end, Lin Ling swung his sword horizontally. The sword light was like blood, and it slashed at Elder Demon's neck. The effect was obvious. Elder Demon's body began to tremble. It seemed that his neck was the source of his strength. All the demonic chi had to go through his neck to reach his head. That's his weakness. Young Master Monster and the others also noticed it. Lin Ling, attack his neck. Ye Shui roared and shouted. This arrow is for Senior Sister Yue. At this moment, Lin Ling floated backwards. With a wave of his left hand, a dragon god roared. Behind him, a huge heavenly dragon flew around and disappeared into the 5-meter-long dragon bone bow in his hand. 4 arrows were shot at the same time, like a huge dragon god, aiming for Elder Demon's neck. This arrow was for Yue, who had risked her life to protect Lin Ling. Roar! The dragon god roared and rushed over. The old demon's pupils grew bigger and bigger, causing him to panic. He stared at the cloaked man in the distance and finally understood what it meant to kill a god and a demon. He would never have thought that the young man he had been chasing not long ago would come back and destroy him. Rumble! The dragon god's arrow shot out and pierced through Elder Demon's neck, making his head float in the sky. In the next moment, endless demonic chi burst out and flooded the mountain. The demonic aura was like a black ocean, rolling and surging. Moreover, it began to spread in all directions, causing a corner of the Heavenly King Mountain to turn pitch black. It was extremely terrifying. Below the Green Mountain, it suddenly became silent. Son of Demon. However, a moment later, a voice rang out in the demonic sea. How is everyone? Then it was Yi Shui's voice. As the demonic sea gradually spread out, the area below the mountain range gradually became clearer. The members of the God Extermination Alliance appeared one after another. They looked at each other, and when they saw the headless demon elder on the ground, they were all overjoyed. They had successfully killed the demon. Elder Demon was the 5th elder demon of the 9 prefectures' 10 evils great demon sect. He controlled terrifying demonic beasts and was rarely a match for him among the martial ancestors. However, today the hot-blooded young men of the God-Slayer Alliance had killed him. Son of Demon, how are you? At the same time, the young Master Yao's figure also appeared, and his eyes searched the surroundings. I'm fine. At this moment, a voice resounded from the ground. When everyone looked over carefully, they noticed a young man standing silently on the ground. He was using his sword to support himself on the ground, and he was forcefully standing. When they saw the young man, everyone smiled excitedly. The Son of Demon was not dead. It was extremely dangerous just now. If Elder Demon self-destructed, I'm afraid we would all die. Luckily, we killed him before he self-destructed. Young Beast Lord hurriedly shot to the ground and supported Lin Ling. The Son of Demon had done a great deed for the God-Slayer Alliance today. Let's leave this place immediately. After all, the Great Demon Sect is still on Mount Tianwang. If the demonic god knows that Elder Demon is dead, he might rush here immediately. However, Lin Ling did not have time to be surprised and reminded everyone. Hearing this, everyone nodded and went to Elder Demon's lair with their tired bodies. They had not forgotten their purpose of coming here, which was to get the glazed light war chariot. At this moment, many people had left the cave. However, there were still some people who did not leave and were searching everywhere. Elder Demon forgot about us because of the God-Slayer Alliance. The God-Slayer Alliance saved us. I hope the God-Slayer Alliance can delay Elder Demon for a while. After we get some treasures, Elder Demon will come back. Chapter 3276. Treasures? I wanted lives. These people were really bold. They were saved by the God-Slayer Alliance. Not only did they not seize the opportunity to escape, they even planned to plunder Elder Mo's lair. This also showed that human nature was ugly. Greed was like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. These people are so pitiful. They're still locked up. Of course, their gazes were also looking at Sakura and the others. Moreover, all of them were laughing in schadenfreude. This was because they would be able to leave immediately after plundering the treasures. And when Old Demon returned and saw that his treasures had been plundered, he would definitely vent his anger on Sakura and the others. Sakura and the others were locked up. At that time, they would have no way to go up and no way to go down. Thank you, all of you. One of the young men waved his hand proudly. Help Brother Sakura. However, just as they were about to plunder the treasures, a tender voice rang out. It was Xiaoyu. Everyone immediately looked at the cute girl and asked with a smile, why? When the old man returns, Brother Sakura and the others will be dead if they haven't escaped by then. Xiaoyu said anxiously as she explained with her two little hands. Ha! Her appearance undoubtedly amused everyone, but they soon sneered. It's none of our business. All of you. Xiaoyu was pure by nature. She did not expect these people to be so heartless. After all, she saw that if Brother Lin Ling had not lured the old man away, these people would not be so arrogant. Get lost. Everyone was indeed teasing Xiaoyu, but they knew that time was limited. Therefore, they waved their hands and pushed Xiaoyu to the ground. Xiaoyu. Seeing this, Sakura and the others in the feather cage were furious. Xiaoyu sat helplessly on the ground. Her big eyes were wet, and she looked extremely pitiful. However, she endured it and kept asking for help from the people around her. Unfortunately, those people only sneered mercilessly. An old man even said coldly, "If you continue to annoy me, I'll kill you." However, Xiaoyu was not afraid in the face of such a fierce expression. She continued to ask for help. She even stood up and wanted to kneel down and beg for help. What a clingy little brat. However, the old man did not care about this at all. He raised his foot and wanted to kick this annoying little girl away. Whoosh! However, just as he raised his foot, a sword slashed over and actually cut off his foot. Who is it? The old man cried out in pain and shouted angrily. The others were the same. Who are you? Aren't you being too sneaky? Attacking your own people? What is the meaning of this? The others also began to look around. However, at this moment, a large number of figures began to descend from the sky. The person in the lead was none other than Lin Ling and young Master Yao. When the crowd saw this group of people, their hearts trembled violently. A frightening thought appeared in their minds. Could it be that old Mo had been killed by the God-slaying alliance? God-slayer alliance. Could it be that Elder Mo? Someone asked anxiously. That's right, the great devil sect's old devil has fallen. Before Lin Ling could say anything, the young demon master had already spoken ruthlessly. That's great, that's great. Haha, Elder Mo is dead. We've made a great contribution. When we return to the sect, we'll definitely be rewarded by the sect. It's even possible for us to become famous in a Yin state. Moreover, I've heard that old Mo had hidden a large number of treasures. Isn't this a great deal for us? After receiving confirmation from the God-slaying alliance, everyone was overjoyed and laughed heartily. There's no time to lose. Let's split the spoils quickly. A young man with an impulsive temperament shouted excitedly. Then, everyone walked into the depths of the cave. Boom! However, just as they moved, a sword slashed down and landed in front of them. It was as if it had cut a line. This made everyone frown. When they looked at the person who had slashed out, they realized that it was the son of the devil. Son of the devil, what's the meaning of this? Someone asked with a frown. He seemed to be very unhappy. However, Lin Ling ignored them. Instead, he walked toward Xiaoyu and carried her on his back. He then wiped the tears off her little face. His appearance seemed calm, but in the depths of his eyes, a wisp of volcanic fury was burning. You said that we were going to split the spoils? Does this mean that we killed old Mo together? Moreover, you said that after returning to the sect, you all made great contributions. Does this mean that you all had a part to play in killing old Mo? Lin Ling muttered to himself as he gently wiped the tears off Xiaoyu's face. Of course, we're all here to kill old Mo. Although we didn't kill old Mo with our own hands, we still contributed. We're all here together. After hearing Lin Ling's words, the crowd seemed to have guessed something. Immediately, someone said coldly, Son of the devil, could it be that you want to take old Mo's treasures for yourself? Let me remind you that you shouldn't be so greedy. Another old man said coldly. The others nodded their heads in agreement. Obviously, they thought that Lin Ling wanted to take all the treasures for himself. Of course, they wouldn't agree to this. They even thought that the son of the devil was too greedy. Ha 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 ha. Hearing their words, Lin Ling couldn't help but laugh. My little girl asked you for help. However, not only did you not help her, you even thought that she was annoying. At that time, why didn't you see her as a group? Now that old Mo is dead, you actually think that we're a group. Also, when old Mo was mocking you, you didn't even dare to say anything. On the contrary, another group of people was fearless and went against old Mo. At that time, why didn't you say that you were a group? With Xiaoyu on his back, Lin Ling slowly turned around and looked at the group of shameless people. The group of people couldn't refute his words. They were so angry that their faces turned black. Fine, fine, fine. I admit that you're right. We're not a group. Now, we don't want to dwell on this issue. I'll only take one of old Mo's treasures. The rest will belong to the Godslayer Alliance. Is that enough? That's right. Each of us can choose one treasure. The rest will belong to you. The group of people couldn't refute Lin Ling. Thus, they didn't dwell on this issue anymore. One by one, they spoke coldly. When these words came out, even young Master Yao and the others laughed. Choose one treasure at will. That's a good idea. After all, there are differences in value among treasures. What if this group of people all chose the most valuable treasures? The rest of the trash would be left for the Godslayer Alliance? Although the Godslayer Alliance had obtained a lot of treasures, what use would they be? Most importantly, this group of people didn't do anything. In fact, some of them might even be the ones who had attacked the son of the devil. How could they have the nerve to say that? Lin Ling also laughed. He shook his head and said, Each of you wants one treasure. That's right. Just one. Everyone nodded. It was as if the Godslayer Alliance had taken advantage of them. Fine. You want treasures? Dream on. I'll take your lives. Chapter 32:77. It's you. Blood gushed out. That person's head flew off. Everyone was shocked. Son of demon, you're crazy. Oomph. They all shouted, not understanding why the son of demon wanted to kill them. Godslayer Alliance, kill them all. Oomph. Unfortunately, Lin Ling only licked his lips and his smile became even more bloodthirsty. The Godslayer Alliance had risked their lives to kill Elder Demon, and this group of people only knew how to hide. How dare they ask for treasures? Dream on, as long as they want their lives. You must be from the big sects in the Yin state. No wonder you don't know how to appreciate favors and are so arrogant. Oomph. Young Master Yao and the others had long planned to kill this group of people. You want treasures? Yes, you want them. Oomph. Yi Lin Yun and the others also said coldly, and their killing techniques exploded. The people of the Godslayer Alliance were the best among the sages. Even the strongest sages in the Yin state were no match for them. After all, one was proud of the Yin state, while the other was proud of the 9 states. They were two completely different concepts. You're crazy, you're all crazy. I've never seen such greedy people like you who kill without a word. Everyone, let's work together and eliminate the Godslayer Alliance. The people around them were also enraged. They activated their surging power and attacked the Godslayer Alliance. However, in just a short while, this group of people was completely defeated. They finally experienced the strength of the Godslayer Alliance. I don't want any treasures, okay? Someone begged for mercy and finally wanted to leave. Seeing this, a sneer appeared on the corner of the Emperor's mouth. Now you don't want any treasures? He didn't want to waste any more words. His body floated up and cracking sounds came from it. It exploded, turning into bronze-like parts that shot toward the crowd. Puppets, people exclaimed. After colliding with each other, they realized that the bronze-like parts were extremely hard, as if they were meteorites. All of you must die. At this moment, young Master Yao was also floating in the sky. He turned into the king of all demons and attacked crazily. In an instant, the cave was filled with blood, and it was terrifying. The Godslayer Alliance is so powerful. I have to leave immediately. Otherwise, there will be trouble. In the crowd, a young man's eyes were cold. He tried to use the chaos to escape the cave. However, he had only run a few hundred meters when a figure suddenly appeared in front of him. This person was wearing a large cloak and had a little girl on his back. At this moment, the sword in his right hand was pointed at him. Your name is Shifeilong, right? A serene voice floated out at the same time. The young man's heart trembled when he saw this, and he said coldly, "You know me?" He was Shifeilong of the new heavenly court. He had wanted to use the chaos to escape, but who would have thought that the son of devil would actually block his path? What do you think? The one blocking the way was Lin Ling, son of demon. This is the first time you and I have met. There is no enmity between us. Why must you push me too far? Shifeilong said with a frown. Ha ha ha. Hearing this, Lin Ling couldn't help but laugh. His laughter made Shifeilong even more suspicious. What was this devil's son laughing about? You and I have no enmity? How dare you say that? Our Godslayer Alliance and the new heavenly court are enemies, and you say there is no enmity between us? Son of demon, this is just a matter of different standpoints. Why don't we shake hands and make peace? Hearing this, Shifeilong's face turned ugly. We can put this aside for now. But do you see her? Lin Ling was still laughing, but he turned his head to look at Xiaoyu behind him. When he saw the little girl, Shifeilong finally reacted. Not long ago, he had snatched the little girl's bamboo stick, which caused the demon elder to want to kill the little girl. At that time, the son of demon wasn't afraid of the demon elder and openly challenged him. This also meant that the little girl was extremely important to the son of demon. She was so important that he had to kill Shifeilong. Thinking of this, Shifeilong's face turned even uglier. However, he still said, "Son of demon, you should know who my backer is. He is Wuxian martial god, one of the top 10 martial gods in the 9 states. If you dare to touch me, I guarantee that you won't be able to leave the Yin state." As soon as he finished speaking, he swept his gaze across the surroundings, and his heart began to feel stifled. This was because the Godslayer Alliance had already eliminated everyone around him. Moreover, they were all looking at him. Get out of my way. I'll give you a chance. If you let me go today, I'll make sure that Wuxian martial god doesn't kill you in the Godslayer Alliance. Shifeilong said anxiously as he stepped forward. Clang! However, Lin Ling's sword still blocked his path. This caused young Beast Lord and the others to gradually close in. Bastard! Sure Filong cursed angrily. If it wasn't for the son of demon staring at him, he would have already escaped. You're dreaming. Even if Wentian Martial God doesn't kill me, I will kill him. Now, you'll be the first person to die in the new heavenly court. Just as he was about to explode in anger, Lin Ling spoke again. Just as he finished speaking, young Beast Lord and the others attacked one after another. Their powerful strength wasn't something that Sure Filong could withstand. After half an hour, he was heavily injured and half kneeling on the ground. Blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. When he looked around, he saw that the members of the God Slayer Alliance were staring at him coldly. Ha! Almost at the same time, Lin Ling held his sword diagonally and walked toward Sure Filong step by step. Then, he slowly removed the brim of his hat. You said that if I touch you, can you guarantee that I won't be able to leave the yin state? Open your eyes and take a look, because I've always been in the yin state. As the voice drifted out, Sure Filong subconsciously raised his head. When he saw Lin Ling's face clearly, he was stunned. He looked very familiar, as if he had seen him somewhere before. Right, the Grand Change Nebulous Sect. Wasn't this the Lin Ling that everyone had wrongly accused? Could he be the son of demon? Staring at that cold face, Sure Feilong's heart was pounding. When he thought of the time when he brought people to the Grand Change Nebulous Sect to look for someone, could it be that the son of demon was right under his nose? This also meant that his previous threat was just a joke. The son of demon was in the yin state. He was right beside Wentian Martial God, and Wentian Martial God didn't even notice him. It's you. Sure Filong kept shouting. Then, he immediately took out his voice transmission talisman. Whoosh. However, just as he moved, his arm was cut off by a sword. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for being Wentian Martial God's man. When Sure Filong raised his head, there was already a cold man standing in front of him. That huge sword was mixed with bloodlight as it lightly slashed towards him. One more thing, you shouldn't have bullied my Xiaoyu. The sword was drawn out like blood and retracted like lightning. Then, the cloaked man slowly turned and left. Sure Filong pointed at the man and wanted to say something. However, his head had already fallen to the ground. Furthermore, a demonic power continued to destroy his body. Plop! Finally, he fell. The first member of the new heavenly court died under Lin Ling's sword. And this was Lin Ling's revenge against Wentian Martial God. Pathetic person. Young Beast Lord and the rest glanced at Sure Filong, and then chased after Lin Ling. Lin Ling activated the Great Sun Calamity, destroying Bao and destroyed the feather cage. It was as if Sakura and the rest had died. Second brother, Lin Ling, young master. Chapter 3278. Splitting the harvest. That young monstrous lord also walked over. After sizing up Meng Lu, he suddenly smiled and said, I should have seen you before, right? I've long heard of your name, young monstrous lord from the ancient monstrous clan. Meng Lu evidently also knew of the young monstrous lord. After all, they were both people from the 9 provinces 10 vicious. However, he was also secretly clenching his fists. Although they were both descendants of the 9 provinces 10 vicious, the young monstrous lord was much more powerful than him. Furthermore, when he looked at Lin Ling, he was surprised to discover that the young monstrous lord seemed to be very respectful toward Lin Ling. This made him curious. What had Lin Ling done in the God-Slayer Alliance to make this unruly young monstrous lord respect him so much? There's no time to lose. Let's quickly find the treasures. All right. At that moment, Lin Ling put Xiaoyu down and said, When it comes to finding treasures, I'm the best at it. All right. Hearing those words, Prince Grope Gold walked out. His body emitted cracking sounds as he turned into many square bronze carts. Following the ground, his speed was extremely fast. Furthermore, there was an extremely large number of those bronze carts. Lin Ling's horizons were immediately broadened. Prince Grope Gold was a puppet, yet he actually possessed such a technique. Everyone, follow me. All right. Not long after, a voice sounded from ahead. Then, an explosion sounded and the ground split open. A cave within a cave appeared. Truly powerful. All right. Seeing that, Lin Ling couldn't help but praise. Although his spirit formation Dao was also capable of finding hidden treasures, it was evidently not as convenient as Prince Gropegold. Of course, our Godslayer Alliance is filled with talents. Each and every one of us has their own powerful domain. All right, beside him, Yeshua had been following Lin Ling the entire time. At that moment, she spoke with a beaming smile. Of course, when she said those words, she also took a glance at Lin Ling, son of demon. You are also a talent that our Godslayer Alliance cannot lack. All right, the crowd all approved of those words. It could be said that the demon's son's world spirit techniques represented the God Destruction Alliance's powerful battle prowess. Everyone entered the cave one after another, and the cave grew larger as they walked. There was a small bronze cart leading the way, and before long, an ancient stone door appeared. The small bronze cart climbed up the stone door, and a green light appeared in front of the cart, fusing into a key. After inserting it into the stone door was opened. As soon as the stone door opened, all the mechanisms disappeared, and in the hall, the light of treasures was resplendent. The most dazzling thing was a chariot the size of a small mountain. This chariot was resplendent in gold and jade, and it looked extremely majestic. Glazed light chariot. Apart from that, there were also a large number of treasures scattered all around. There were natural treasures, emperor crystals, and so on. Looking at this scene, the corners of everyone's mouths cracked open. After the Godslayer Alliance had eliminated Martial God Qilin, all of their treasures had been used up. Now, the Godslayer Alliance's treasury would be filled again. Clean up the treasures and leave this place immediately. Although the young demon lord was very excited, he did not lose his cool. He knew that he could not stay here for long. Everyone immediately busied themselves. Lin Ling also noticed that the demonic sword behind him was jumping. This made him happy. Could it be that there was also a broken sword here? Immediately, he searched for it, and in the end, he found a broken sword. Moreover, this broken sword floated into the tyrannical sword's scabbard and disappeared. I found another broken sword. Now, that Headless Senior's killing intent towards me should have weakened quite a bit. Lin Ling smiled excitedly. Looking at the Godslayer Alliance again, he saw that they had already collected all of the treasures. Among them, the young demon lord threw a brocade pouch to Lin Ling and said, "Take it. This is your reward." Lin Ling immediately opened the brocade pouch and scanned it with his soul power. His expression changed so much. This was because the brocade pouch contained a large number of emperor crystals and many treasures needed to cultivate the physical body. The young demon lord took a sip of wine and said with a smile, "This is what you deserve. Moreover, this is only a small part of the treasure. Take it. If you're too pretentious, then you're not a man." Since the young demon lord had said so, Lin Ling naturally did not hesitate. This was because he also knew that this was only a small part of the treasure. Although the Godslayer Alliance had taken the majority of the treasures, the Godslayer Alliance had more people. Moreover, this time, everyone had contributed to killing the demons. Therefore, this distribution was very fair. Let's leave this place. After receiving it, everyone hurriedly left. After arriving at the stone forest outside the cave, the young demon lord, Touch Gold Son of Heaven, and Yishue all looked at Lin Ling. "We have to split up. The Godslayer Alliance is no match for Wintian Martial God. Therefore, we have to continue hiding." The young demon lord was the first to speak. He looked at Meng Lu and invited, "I wonder if you're interested in joining the Godslayer Alliance." Currently, Indra was also considered a member of the Godslayer Alliance. However, Meng Lu was not. Meng Lu was delighted when he heard this. However, he also looked at Lin Ling. Lin Ling nodded and said, "If you're interested, then join." Although these guys are all kings of destruction, they can still get along well with each other. All right. After receiving Lin Ling's affirmation, Meng Lu immediately nodded. "Haha, our Godslayer Alliance has gained another fierce general." Seeing this, the young demon lord and the others were overjoyed. Obviously, the young demon lord also knew about Meng Lu's background. "See you later." Then, everyone began to split up. They left the Heavenly King Mountain in groups of 3 to 5. Lin Ling and the others did the same. They followed the stone forest forward. After everyone had left, the stone forest returned to its original state. However, after half a day, the quiet stone forest began to change. On the ground, a large number of insects crawled out. They were so densely packed that it made one's heart palpitate. After a short while, the ground had turned into a sea of insects, forming billowing demonic chi. In the sea of insects, a figure seemed to emerge from the water and turned into a one-eyed old man. The 5th demon elder is dead. Who killed him? Obviously, this was also a demon elder from the Great Devil sect. The death of the 5th demon elder would definitely alarm the Great Devil sect. This was because if the 5 demon elders joined forces, their strength will be able to fight against a martial god. However, now that one of the demon elders had fallen, the Great Devil sect's strength had been greatly reduced. At this time, a flying insect flew over and landed on the demon elder's palm. The flying insect was like a firefly, reflecting light, allowing the demon elder to roughly know what had happened. The God-Slayer Alliance. Bang! The demon elder muttered to himself. Boom! Next, the stone forest erupted into a huge wave. Countless flying insects flew into the sky and gradually disappeared without a trace. At this moment, at a corner of the Heavenly King Mountain, Lin Ling and the others were running wildly. On the way, Lin Ling looked back and immediately revealed a thoughtful expression. However, soon after, he smiled casually. Even if the Great Devil sect knew that it was the God-Slayer Alliance's doing, so what? Even Martial God Wen Tian could not find them. How could the Great Devil sect succeed? I didn't expect that this trip to the Heavenly King Mountain would end in such a result after so many twists and turns. Chapter 3279. His strength had increased greatly. During the trip to Heavenly King Mountain, Lin Ling had been seriously injured twice. If not for the help of his benefactor, Lin Ling might have died. Seen your sister Yua? Yes, Lin Ling muttered to himself, and a trace of longing appeared in his eyes. Second brother, after you become stronger, you can also go to the Immortal Temple to find her and bring her back. Yes. After 3 days of hurrying, Sakura and the others also knew about a new error. They were extremely moved by this. I will definitely bring her back. Yes. Lin Ling nodded heavily. Then, he took out the treasures and distributed them to everyone for cultivation. Lin Ling, this is not good. We didn't do anything to kill Elder Mo. Instead, we became a burden. Obviously, Meng Lu couldn't accept this. Next time, just work harder. Moreover, you owe me a favor this time, so you should improve your strength. Yes. Seeing this, Lin Ling immediately said with a smile. Hearing this, Meng Lu and Sakura looked at each other and nodded. Obviously, they also knew that if they were too pretentious, it would affect their brotherhood. Everyone was bitterly cultivating by the side of the pool. However, although Meng Lu and the others took a lot of cultivation resources, Lin Ling still had many treasures in his hands, which should be enough for him to break through. This time, Lin Ling planned to break through to the peak of the Half-Saint Realm in one fell swoop. Under the pool, a large number of dazzling royal crystals floated out like stars in the sky. Lin Ling sat cross-legged and quietly looked at those royal crystals. This trip to Heavenly King Mountain has shown me how weak I am. Therefore, I must improve my strength. Lin Ling's face was full of determination. After a low shout, those royal crystals rushed toward Lin Ling and drowned him. Lin Ling's dantian was constantly rumbling. The 4 dantians were rolling and rotating. The first to change were the other 3 dantians. Under the endless energy of heaven and earth, these 3 dantians were rapidly transforming toward the 8th stage of the Half-Saint Realm. In just a short moment, all 3 of his dantians had reached perfection. His first dantian was also breaking through to the 8th level of the Half-Saint Realm. Rumble. At the same time, the Half-Saint Tribulation pressed down from the sky, causing the nearby area to become extremely oppressive. Second brother, I'm about to break through. Meng Lu and the others were cultivating by the side of the pool, and all of them started laughing when they saw this scene. Lin Ling had been stuck in the semi-sage realm for a long time, so he had always lacked cultivation resources. Now, he had sufficient cultivation resources, and it should be enough for Lin Ling to enter a new realm. We have to work hard too. Sakura took a look at Meng Lu, and a billowing battle intent appeared in their eyes. Rumble. In the sky, the tribulation of the half-saint realm was growing more and more terrifying. Dark clouds pressed down and covered the ground because it was the final tribulation of the half-saint realm. The next tribulation would be the tribulation of the saint realm. However, Lin Ling had accumulated too much information. Not only did he have Li Xiaoyao's experience, but he also had his own experience in this lifetime. Therefore, when the tribulation lightning pressed down, the dragon god immediately roared out and swept through the world. Next, the huge realm-swallowing beast appeared and actually swallowed the tribulation lightning in the sky. This guy, Meng Lu and the others hid in the distance and couldn't help but exclaim. It was too abnormal. It actually swallowed the tribulation lightning. Bang, bang, bang. However, this wasn't the end. When a new tribulation lightning descended, colorful flames appeared and formed a huge ancient tablet that smashed down from the sky. And something terrifying happened. The lightning was obviously fast, but the ancient tablet was very slow. However, in the blink of an eye, the ancient tablet caught up with the lightning and suppressed it. Space-time. This was due to space-time. Because the huge ancient tablet distorted space-time, its speed surpassed the lightning. And this was the power of the space-time divine tablet. In the land of the 9 prefectures, the space-time divine tablet was also known as the space-time god Eye of the 6 great god eyes. After the 3 ferocious desolate physiques appeared, the tribulation lightning in the sky was completely blocked. Next, Lin Ling's cultivation realm also advanced by leaps and bounds. From the 9th stage of the half-saint realm, he gradually reached the 10th stage of the half-saint realm and finally stepped into the peak of the half-saint realm. After evaluating his combat strength, if the 4 Danshians were combined, in addition to the 3 7th-grade desolate physiques, Lin Ling would be an invincible existence in the early stage of the saint realm. Moreover, Lin Ling had reached the late stage of the half-saint realm and could open the 5th Dantian. However, he had used up all his treasures, so opening the 5th Dantian would have to be delayed slightly. Time passed quietly just like that. After an unknown period of time, Sakura and the others stood up at the side of the pool because they had reached a bottleneck in their cultivation and were stuck at the 10th stage of the half-saint realm. Whoosh! At the same time, the water in the pool emitted a sound like beans being fried. The water seemed to be boiling and a slender figure floated up. It was Lin Ling. Brother Lin Ling. Yes. In the distance, Xiaoyu immediately cried out in surprise and rushed over. Lin Ling took a step and appeared at the side of the pool. Then he picked Xiaoyu up. Congratulations on coming out of seclusion, young master. Dokening followed behind and looked at Lin Ling with a trace of surprise in his eyes. This was because he realized that Lin Ling had reached the peak of the half-saint realm. Not long ago, Lin Ling was only at the 8th stage of the half-saint realm. This leap in strength was too great. This guy, Meng Lu and the others also noticed the changes in Lin Ling and couldn't help but gasp. This was because Lin Ling had only cultivated for a year. However, it was impossible for him to reach the peak of the half-saint realm in a year, even if he drank treasures like water. After all, although treasures were important, refining them required a certain process. In the past, our realms were higher than his. Now he has surpassed us. As for his combat strength, Sai, I'm afraid it's unimaginable. Meng Lu shook his head helplessly. Even though he was one of the 9 prefecture's 10 evils, he felt helpless in front of Lin Ling. At this moment, Lin Ling walked over and looked at everyone with a smile. He asked, "How long have I been cultivating?" "A year." Sakura replied immediately. His words made Lin Ling frown. He touched his chin and pondered. "Then let's go back to the Great Change Cloud sect. Second brother, although the heavenly court is looking for us now, they are not as crazy as before. Why should we go back to the Great Change Cloud sect? Sakura was puzzled when he noticed Lin Ling's decision. They went to the Great Change Cloud sect to avoid the limelight. Now that the limelight had passed, there was no point in going back. From Master Xianxia, Lin Ling looked into the distance and said word by word. Sakura and the others were stunned when they heard that. Then they nodded. This was because during the days in the Great Change Cloud sect, they saw that Xianxia seemed to be looked down upon by everyone and was even called a coward. This made them calm on the surface, but in fact, there was an unyielding anger in their hearts. Chapter 3280. Seeing Hua Gu again. Let's go back. Seeing that Sakura and the others were unwilling to give up, Lin Ling strode forward with Xiaoyu in his arms. When he returned, he would make the Great Change Nebulous sect proud of Xianxia because he, Lin Ling, was a disciple of Xianxia. Walking out of the pool, the Heavenly King Mountain was still quiet, but he could see people leaving in twos and threes. I heard that the battle in the north is extremely fierce. It's like a battle between gods. Yes, I have a senior brother in the later stage of the Sage Realm, so he went to the north and witnessed the battle between the Yin province and the 9 states. Compared to the north, the east is not weak. Here, it's the calmest. Since the death of Diwu Demon Elder, we haven't seen any opponents. I don't know who killed Diwu Demon Elder. Some say it's the God Slayer Alliance. Some say it's the experts of other sections. Everyone has different opinions. Occasionally, some voices drifted out. When Lin Ling and the others heard it, they all laughed. Diwu Demon Elder? Lin Ling's eyes flickered. That was because he had put away Diwu Demon Elder's body. He was going to take it back to claim credit. Moreover, he was not afraid of being suspected. After all, no one saw who killed Diwu Demon Elder. Everyone just guessed that it was the Godslayer Alliance. But it was just a guess. Lin Ling could tell others that Diwu Demon Elder was seriously injured by the Godslayer Alliance and was killed by Lin Ling's sneak attack. This was a comprehensive story without any loopholes. Hey, I see 2 acquaintances. Suddenly, Lin Ling's eyes lit up. Huago and Firefox Ichiro, who wronged me. Those 2 shameless bastards are still alive. It's them. Sakura and the others' faces changed. Then, anger appeared on their faces. They all looked at Lin Ling and asked, "What are we going to do? How dare they wrongly accuse me? Kill them." Lin Ling's voice was cold. "How people treat me, I'll treat them in the same way." Lin Ling dared to wrongly accuse him. Lin Ling, of course, would not be soft-hearted. Those 2 people from before were extremely shameless. They caused the deaths of many of their fellow disciples. What's the point of people like them not dying? The afterimage also spoke, his eyes filled with ice-cold, murderous intent. The few of them headed in the direction of Flower Song. At this moment, Huagu and Huahu Ichiro were leading a dozen Saint Realm martial artists as they advanced along the ancient land. Senior Brother Hua and Senior Brother Huahu are the best. Among them, someone said flatteringly. When the others saw this, they began to speak one after another. Although they were extremely disdainful of Huagu and Yixian, who asked them to be stronger. Moreover, when they passed by Secret Land, Huagu and Huahu Ichiro also obtained a lot of treasures. What was abhorrent was that Huagu and Huahu Ichiro did not share any of these treasures with them. In my opinion, now that the 5th Demon Elder is dead, Senior Brother Hua and Huahu Ichiro can claim credit after returning. After all, killing a demon at the Martial Ancestor Realm is a big event in the Yin state. Another person flattered. They knew that the 5th Demon Elder was not killed by Huagu and Huahu Ichiro, because they would have knelt down and begged for mercy if they saw the 5th Demon Elder. However, no one knew who killed the 5th Demon Elder. Therefore, when Huagu and Huahu Ichiro took the hero's name, no one could find evidence to refute them. You guys are really good at talking. Well, we've obtained some treasures before, so we'll share some with you. Yes, I hate people who monopolize treasures. You should also have a share of the treasures. Hearing the crowd's words, Huagu and Huahu Ichiro both laughed. Of course, their words were very nice. In fact, they wanted these people to testify for them that the fifth demon elder was killed by them. Otherwise, they would not have taken out treasures to reward these good-for-nothings. Senior Brother Hua and Senior Brother Ichiro are indeed amazing. Hearing this, those people began to flatter them even more frequently. Treasures? Did you steal them from me? However, at this moment, a laugh suddenly rang out in front of them. Then they saw several figures floating down from the sky and slowly walking toward them. The person in the lead was none other than Lin Ling. This time, Hua Gu and Hua Ichiro were stunned. Since Lin Ling had given them a big gift, Lin Ling had disappeared. Although they wanted to find him at that time, they were caught by the demon elder, so the matter was left unsettled. However, now, Lin Ling had jumped into their sight. It's you? You're a playboy. The others also recognized Lin Ling and Sakura Ichiro. They felt a little strange, because wasn't Sakura Ichiro locked up in the demon elder's lair? They did not guess that Lin Ling in front of them was the son of demon. At that time, Lin Ling was wearing a large cloak and hiding his aura. How could ordinary people recognize him? In addition, Lin Ling was only in the half-saint realm. He was not even the strongest genius in the Great Change Nebulous sect, so it was impossible for him to be the famous son of demon. You still dare to appear in front of me? Hua Gu sneered, his eyes full of ridicule. You two stole my treasures, and now you still dare to appear in front of me. However, in the face of Hua Gu and Hua Ichiro's sneers, Lin Ling said indifferently. This time, everyone was silent. Treasures? Was Lin Ling saying that the treasures found by Hua Gu and Hua Ichiro not long ago belonged to Lin Ling? Huh. Thinking of this, everyone laughed out loud. This slander was really too lousy. After all, when they entered the secret realm, they were also present and saw Hua Gu and Hua Ichiro collecting treasures with their own eyes. You are from the White Cloud Villa and the Firefox Valley, right? These two sects are too shameless. Are all the disciples you teach thieves? However, Lin Ling said again, his words full of disdain. The people laughed louder and louder. Among them, a thin young man laughed so hard that his stomach hurt. You're Lin Ling, right? If you want to wrongly accuse Senior Brother Hua and Hua Ichiro, you should at least find a good excuse. At the very least, you should find a witness. You are making false accusations without any evidence. Are you trying to make me laugh to death? The young man laughed and walked forward with a mocking look on his face. Swoosh! However, his laughter quickly stopped because Lin Ling made his move. He stretched out his hand and grabbed the young man's neck domineeringly, instantly deciding his life and death. Although the young man was in the first heaven of the Sage Realm, he was equivalent to an ant in front of Lin Ling. Are you talking about a witness? Aren't you one? Now, let me ask you, did Hua Gu and Hua Ichiro steal my treasures? Lin Ling was expressionless. His 5 fingers were like pliers, causing the young man's face to turn pale. He wanted to resist, but he couldn't. 1. On the contrary, Lin Ling started to count. 2. The young man was still shocked by Lin Ling's strength. However, he quickly recovered. He knew that if he didn't testify against Lin Ling would really kill him. Yes.